Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about this week's TV news. And of course, we also pick our favourite episode of TV at the end of the week, at the end of the show.
It's also the end of the week, to be fair.
Yes, the end of our week, our week being Saturday to Friday for TV. Yes, it's the end of the week, but I meant at the end of the show. We also use this to give any updates on the channel or Mailed Fuzz as a whole as well to kick off things. Nothing particular to note. I mean, obviously we had Damnation this week, the first episode of that, which we reviewed. We did not like it very much. We will not be covering any more. That is all I will say on this particular show about that. So yeah, you can go check out that if you're interested. And that's pretty much it in the TV side of things. The only thing to note, I guess, other than that, would be for the patrons got my solo audio commentary for the month, which was on the 1989 version of Batman.
Interesting.
So yeah, I'll plug that for a little bit. I don't like that movie that much, which I will see. The first commentary last month I did on Halloween, which is like one of my favourite movies of all time. So I thought I'd go with something that I don't actually like that much this month. But something I had a vested interest in because it's Batman, so it was kind of like, and I have a history with it because I grew up watching it, and so I thought that may be a different change of pace.
We also finished off Stranger Things earlier in the week.
Oh yeah, I feel so long ago now.
It does, doesn't it? It was only a couple of days, though, really.
It was Monday.
Not that long ago.
Finished it on Monday. And it's been so long that I'm dying for more Stranger Things now. Like, it's not been... I need more. 4 days is too long.
Well, you've got another, 14 months or so, at best guess.
It's funny, actually. The downside to doing it daily like we've done, which it does spread it out over longer, but it gets me used to having an episode every day. So we get to the end of it, and then I'm like, oh no, I have no episodes of Stranger Things to watch today. This is depressing.
Yeah.
Life
It's
has
a
no
problem.
purpose. So that's a thing. That's pretty much it in terms of updates. In terms of stuff that's coming next week, of course, speaking of Netflix, next Friday we have The Punisher debuting. So obviously we'll be starting to review that again daily, starting next Friday. So you can look forward to that. And that's pretty much it, right? There's nothing else in the next week.
Last episode of Star Trek Discovery before it goes on its Christmas break.
Oh, sure. More on that in a bit.
Oh, God. Not another update to that story.
Well, no, don't worry. There's no more. I have a return date. I have a return date for after Christmas. That's all.
Okay.
Nothing to worry about. That's all it is.
You panicked me. Last time you threw me with that.
Ah, dear. No. Yeah, that said, though, after we watched this week's one, we were glad there was an extra one because it was a weird cliffhanger to leave on for the Christmas break.
It was.
So
Yeah.
so we're happy about that. So that's the thing. So before we actually get into the rest of the news, I want to bring up something that I just saw. In fact, I'll get it up, and we can actually talk about it a little bit. Because we have a slightly later news week this week.
Oh, this makes a change.
And by later, I mean
Been a while.
I have 6 pages as
Well,
opposed
I mean,
to...
that's like half of the last few.
Exactly. So I'll include this, and let me get my browser up here. For the video folk, this is going to be very bright on me for a second.
And for everyone, it's just unprofessional.
It's perfectly professional. This proves that this is real. This is not some fabricated, glossy show. This is real people with real opinions, real life. Hustle and
Yeah.
bustle.
Yeah, that's exactly what it does.
I do things on the cuff. Do you not want the live? It's not live.
If this is the spontaneity, then no, I don't want it.
I'm only struggling because you're debating me on it now. Now I'm having to try and argue my point. Ah, dear. Where was I? Right.
If you don't find what you're looking for, you've not even started.
I'm too busy. And apologies for the Windows noise that everyone just heard because my Control F failed on that page. Here we go. Oh wait, no, that's not what I'm looking for. Oh, there we go. I'm at it.
Okay. Yeah, all right then. Let's hear it. I have no idea what you're on about.
Okay, so this is not worth it. There's been too much build up to this, and it's totally not worth it. But Rotten Tomatoes put out a ranking of all the Netflix original shows.
Okay.
So I thought we'd talk about it. I thought we'd look at what the list was and where some of our favourites fell and how we felt about it, and we can talk about how they're ratings. Now, I don't know if this is just based on their RT scores or if it's actually a curated list per se.
Right, okay. And then if it is RT scores, is it critic or audience?
By their composite critical reception.
Okay.
We excluded shows that do not have enough reviews to receive the designation of or fresh or rotten. It also seems that they seem to have left out most things that are like those co-productions where it's on a channel in
Oh,
another
that's fair.
place and then it's on Netflix everywhere else. They seem to have ignored those, with one kind of exception. I say kind of because it's arguably a new thing, but it's really a continuation. But I'm talking about Mystery Science Theater. Right? They've included that.
Okay, but by that logic, have they included Black Mirror?
They haven't.
Have they not? Okay, that is interesting.
No Black Mirror, no Arrested Development, nothing else. It's just, I think it's because Mystery Science Theater had a new title. It was Mystery Science Theater: The Return.
Okay. They cheated it. They cheated the way into the list.
Yeah, and arguably the same goes for Wet Hot American Summer: First Day at Camp. Although technically that was a movie before, so would you count that anyway? I don't know. But anyway, so typically we're talking about strict things. Although maybe it's, I mean, I can't imagine Black Mirror didn't have enough RT.
No, I can't imagine it
scores.
didn't. I wonder if it is, like you say, it's the same title, same show, so
Yeah.
its score would still be affected by its previous run. The first 2 seasons episodes would affect it.
That's maybe an argument for it. Yeah, it would actually affect what the score was, so therefore it's not fair to include it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's someone else that made it.
Yeah. Well, it was the same people, really, but yeah, just a different production company behind it, yeah.
Right.
But anyway, so this is a wacky list, right? So they've actually got Mystery Science Theater in at number 1.
What?
Well, no, I love Mystery Science Theater.
I know, but it just seems strange for this list.
This is a weird pick to me, because I love this, but I would not have, because I actually did my own list. I ranked all the Netflix shows myself, based on this list. I took all the ones out I'd seen, and I ranked them and I put it on Twitter, right? Because there's a list I have to give my version of it. That's just...
When did you do that?
I don't know, like an hour ago, something like that.
Oh, okay, so it'll be at the top of your feed if I go look now.
Oh yeah, it'll be near the top. Yeah, there was a couple of replies to things above that, I think, but other than that, don't jump to my picks just yet. I wanted...
No, I just
right. So I left that out. I left Mystery Science Theater out because I felt like that's kind of weird. I don't think that kind of compares to the rest of the stuff.
I think the rest of them are all presumably all scripted shows.
Yes.
And that's not. So.
Well, it is scripted, but
yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. So I don't know. What show do you want me to tell you about first? So let's take Stranger Things, and I say, out of 54 shows that are ranked here, yes, there's that many.
Jesus, I didn't realize they had that many yet.
What do you where do you think Stranger Things is?
And where do I think it is on this list, or where do I think it should be?
Either. It's fine. You can give me both, basically. Answer for where you think it should be.
Okay, bear in mind I've not thought through this in the same way.
Sure,
so I haven't. But I'd say it's probably top 5, or it should be top 5.
It should be top 5. It's not. Nor is it top 10. It's number 11.
Oof, that's low. I mean, how many of the top 10 are things that we haven't seen? Is the question.
2 or 3 of them, but I think the rest of them we have
opinions on it.
We've seen at least the first episode, if not, we have actually watched it.
Right. Okay.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to give you the top 10. Right. We'll give you the top 10. Count down from number 10. Number 10 is Mindhunter, which we like. I wouldn't put it above Stranger Things, but I mean,
that seems fair in the top 10. The low end of the top 10 seems fair.
Number 9 is Luke Cage.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I would not rank it above those 2 shows.
I mean, maybe the first half would be above Mindhunter.
I wouldn't, but yeah, I can see the argument. It's closer, sure.
Yeah. As a whole, no, definitely not.
Number 8 is One Day at a Time. I don't know what that is, so
no, I don't know what that is.
I won't argue. Number 7 is Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
All for it. That's top 10 material for me, easy.
Not for me so much, so I think this is also why it's baffling. Number 6 is one that we don't agree with, but a lot of people do, is American Vandal. That said, I don't know if people who like that show would put it above Stranger Things, but hey, whatever.
I should hope not.
Here's where things get murky, because number 5 is Alias Grace, which I'm sure is a co-production. Maybe Netflix are more involved in that than normal, because all the other co-productions with Canada aren't there.
No,
so,
it's definitely a co-production, though.
Yeah, so but it must be more so than normal, or Netflix have got more of a stake in it than normal. Number 4 is Dear White People, which I don't think...
that seems fair.
Yeah, that's actually... That should be fairly high, I think. Number 3 is Big Mouth. I have no idea what that is.
I don't... I've never heard of it.
Number 2 is Master of None.
Okay.
Which
I mean, I haven't
yeah.
seen the second season yet.
I'm not
But
as keen on that as most people seem to be. For I just like I think it's got quality to it. It didn't click with me in the same way. I'm going to just point out where some other favourites are. So number 12 is Glow, which I really like. Number 14 is A Series of Unfortunate Events. Jessica Jones comes in at 16.
seems low.
You Like the Crown, that comes in at 21.
Okay, I'd probably have it. I mean, higher than that, obviously, but
Daredevil comes in at number 25.
that's. I mean, even with the back half of season 2 that we don't like that much, that's crazy low.
Castlevania's at 26. To be fair, I don't think that should be too high yet because it's only had 4 episodes. It seems a bit.
Yeah, it's only had 2 hours, so that's fine. Keep that down.
What else do we care about? At number 32 is 3%. Up that shit right now. That was way better than number 32.
That was fantastic.
Number 35 is the OA. Also, far too low. Let's bump that right up.
Yeah.
I like the OA a lot. Number 37 is the Defenders, which...
Yeah, okay. I can deal with that being low.
Yeah, I can deal with that being low. I mean, actually, I've not seen enough to put it that low, because I've only seen...
No, but it would definitely be on the low end of my list.
Yeah, no, absolutely is.
Wait, hang on. Mm-hmm. Where's Iron Fist?
Out of 54 possible placements...
Please be 54. Please be 54.
50...
Go on.
3.
Oh, God. What the hell is worse than that?
Apparently that comedy Disjointed is worse than Iron Fist. According to Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay. I looked up Big Mouth, by the way.
Oh.
Apparently it's a adult cartoon.
Okay, right. Makes sense. I haven't heard of it. That Friends from College is at 51, and then that Gypsy, which we almost did the first episode of and then didn't, is at 49. So
I'm glad we didn't now.
Yeah. Interestingly, Girl Boss, which we also didn't like, is at 47. So we agree with some placements here, but some of them.
I think we typically agree with the low things.
Yeah, but the high ones are like erratic. All over the place.
I wonder if that just tells you that there's a pretty clear consensus on no, this is shit.
Yeah, maybe. But once you get into the top like tier, 2 or 3 tiers, everyone's kind of different opinions on what's good and what's bad.
But people generally agree. No, this is bad. This is bad.
Yeah. I think that's fair. Do you want my list then that I quickly made up? And again, I did this without too much thought, so I don't really have much to. I think you've been looking at it.
I have. I noticed that you put one thing at the same place as on that list.
Oh, really? What was the one thing?
Dear White People at number 4.
Oh, really? I didn't even realise I'd done that.
Yeah.
My number 4... Well, it's different, though, because mine's is only spread out of, 16 things that I've watched at least a full season of. So
Yeah. So your number 4 means, like, more. Less?
It's hard to say, because the list is more concentrated, so arguably it means more, but then on the other hand, you could say, yeah, but this one has, like, 50 things before it, so that 4 is even higher.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I don't know. To tell you about. Anyway, so in last place, I've got Iron Fist at number 16.
I should bloody hope so.
I've got Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt at 15. Yeah.
And this is where we stop being friends.
Yeah. Like we were friends before now. 14 Castlevania. Like I say, there's just not enough of it yet to really have much of an opinion.
Still put it above Kimmy Schmidt, didn't you prick?
Of course I did. Kimmy Schmidt's got a good theme song. That's about where my enjoyment of that show pretty much ends. I've got Luke Cage at 13, which I've got below Defenders at 12. That might seem a little bit harsh, but like I say, I think the second half of Luke Cage overall drags it below.
It's understandable.
I
think I'd put it above Defenders still, because I got more enjoyment out of that first half.
There's not much in it, though, between them, really.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue too much on it.
11, I've got House of Cards, which... I've only seen seasons 1 and 2 of, and then I kind of lost interest. I think I watched like the first episode of season 3, and I sort of lost interest. And I mean, obviously now I'm like, well.
See, I watched season 1 and 2 about 2 years ago, and I really liked them. I like the whole Shakespeare thing that it's doing. I like the political commentary stuff. That stuff does it for me, and I thought, all right, I'm going to take a break. And then I got busy and never came back to it, and now I'm just like,
Do you know the thing was?
I never finished it.
I watched those 2 seasons before all of the other types of shows that I like on Netflix started happening. Once they actually made content that was more suited for me, I kind of just left it behind and never went back. And I mean,
Yeah, when I did it, it was like the choice was like that. Orange is the New Black. What was that kind of horror sci-fi
Hemlock
one?
Grove,
Hemlock Grove, yeah.
that was low on the
And I
list, by
knew
the
that
way.
was meant to be bad,
Yeah.
so I didn't bother with that.
And now it's like, yeah, I'm not watching it now because Kevin Spacey's. I mean, not that I'm going to boycott everything Kevin Spacey's ever been in. There's too many movies that he's in that I
Yeah,
like anyway.
you're not gonna never watch Seven again.
Exactly. But, like, 4 seasons of him as the main character in a show that I wasn't that in love with.
Well, I mean, let's be honest, it's gonna be 3 seasons.
Okay, sure, yeah, they're probably going to kill him off in the first episode of season 6. But still, 3 seasons. 3 seasons is still hours to spend watching his
It
face.
is, but it's better than 4.
Sure. So then I had number 10, Master of None, which didn't click for me like it did most people, but I do recognise the quality and and I've only seen season 1 of that for the record. That's just season 1 based.
That's all I've seen as well.
Number 9's Daredevil, which despite the second half of season 2, which I'm not thrilled about, I still like Daredevil quite a bit.
It does stop it being higher, doesn't it?
It does. It might be higher if not. Number 8, I've got A Series of Unfortunate Events. Delightful. I think, honestly, number 8 onwards is where I'm really positive about everything. Like, I'm really happy about all of these.
And that was a genuine surprise as well, because I wasn't expecting it to be quite as good.
That was delightful and different from what we normally watch, which I appreciated. 7, Jessica Jones. 6, Mindhunter. 5, 3%. 4, Dear White People. 3 is Glow. I like Glow a lot. I mean, if Netflix want to keep making more things set in the 80s, because clearly it's working for me. Number 2 is the 08, which really scratched my indie movie charm kind of
I
itch.
like that a lot, but I don't think I'd have it quite as high as you.
That's fair. Honestly, 2 through 6 shuffled about a lot. Like, the amount of time I spent in this, it was mostly just 2 through 6, and okay, what order do I want to put these in, because I wasn't really sure. And then number 1 is probably quite obviously Stranger Things, because that's just...
I mean, looking at the list of things you've got here, because I think most of the things I've seen are pretty similar to what you have.
Yeah, you add in The Crown, maybe, whereas I'd have
Yeah.
Mystery Science Theater added in.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have Glow.
Yeah.
But you know, for the most part, it's similar.
And for the record, if I was counting Travellers, which again, just going by the rules, I kind of left off, but if I was putting Travellers in, it'd probably be reasonably high, actually. I'd probably put it in maybe...
I think based on your list, I'd probably put it between Jessica Jones and Series of Unfortunate Events.
Yeah, something in there. I may even go a touch higher. Maybe just a touch
Maybe
higher.
a touch higher, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe just above Mindhunter right now, depending how I feel, but...
That's fair. No. Looking at these here, like I said, when I just was off the top of my head, I wasn't willing to say, "Oh, Stranger Things #1," because obviously it's the freshest thing in my mind.
Yeah, but now you're looking at mine, and it's
now I'm
all...
looking at what's actually there, what all the options are. Yeah, probably is. I'll give it that.
Yeah, it's okay if you disagree. Obviously, if you've got different favourites, I think that's the great thing about their content right now. Is there's so many different things, but
there's so much content.
I
It's
just
just great.
I looked at that ranking list and I was like, no, there's something wrong here. There's something not.
I mean,
and I love
okay.
Mystery Science Theater. It just feels weird to have that at number 1 for Netflix original shows.
Yeah, but I mean, just look at that. There's 16 shows there that you've watched a full season of.
Mm-hmm.
At least 15 of those are perfectly watchable.
Just the Iron Fist is not.
Yes, at least 15 of those are enjoyable to some degree.
Yeah, a few of them obviously a bit bloated and so on, but yeah, it's. No, I saw that earlier tonight and I thought, oh, maybe that's worth bringing up and having a little.
Oh yeah, it's given us 15 minutes of stupid conversation.
Chat. Yeah, maybe once Amazon's get enough, we've seen 15 of those, we can rank for Amazon shows. Right now, although we have Comrade Detective and The Tick, I think.
As full seasons, yeah, and then a couple of pilots.
And Tick's technically not a full season yet, but you know what? They've taken a break, so I'm counting it.
It'll do.
Yeah.
But they've got a lot of stuff coming up I'm excited for. So,
They do indeed. For the record...
that said, how much stuff does Netflix have coming up that we're still excited for?
That's also very true. For the record, though, The Tick, at number 1, and then not Jean-Claude Johnson, that's not started yet. I've seen the pilot, obviously, and then Comrade Detective at number 2. Just for the... I mean, not that it matters much, but that's the
Both are
ranking.
still good.
Yeah, that's the ranking right now. Of the stuff I've watched a good season or so of. Anyway, do I get into the actual news? Let's do that. I mentioned Star Trek Discovery. I mentioned we had an update on its premiere or return premiere date. What they're calling season 1, chapter 2. Just in terms of,
I approve.
It's better than part 2, I think.
It's better than part 2, and it's better than just not acknowledging it, in my opinion.
I don't know. I feel like
it's too long a break to not acknowledge.
I feel like it's short enough. It kind of just feels like the Christmas break anyway.
That said, I'm going to wait until you tell me the date, just in case. But I'm assuming January still. Go on.
January 7th.
Okay.
It's pretty early.
It's early. The problem is it's ending maybe a bit too early for me to say it's just a Christmas break. I expect it to run till December.
Sure, but I mean, that's what, like 7 weeks maybe? The
Yeah.
break? It's just over a month and a half. It's not a long time, so...
It's not crazy.
So that's not bad. I think people may have been worried it was going to be like March or something like that, but no, sure enough, we're good.
John, I hadn't seen that, but like I said, I was assuming January anyway, just because of the way they've been talking about it in the past.
No, that's fair. That's fair. So that's cool. That was the only quick thing, actually. Honestly, there wasn't a whole lot of quick little things. There was some network shows that had, like, some extra episode orders. We don't really care about random shows on CBS and NBC that we've never watched.
No, we don't.
We don't.
Especially not on CBS.
The Mick is doing well. It's got a full season 2 order. That was one.
Oh, that's good.
That was one that popped up, but that was the only one that was remotely kind of like, oh, I know what that show is. Still, I went back and watched Death and Past episode 1, admittedly, but hey, if it's really good, maybe one day I'll binge watch it, because I like comedies to binge watch.
It's the sort of thing I expect I will binge watch at some point.
So, first things first then, we're going to be talking about Ellen Page, although not about, like, for the record, there was a small chance of maybe putting the Louis C.K. stuff in here. I chose not to. It wasn't affecting things too directly. I mean, FX are cutting ties with them. I was like, you know what, we've had enough of this.
Has he still got a show with them? Because he did have one at one point.
He was producing like 3 shows for them.
No, there was one that he was meant to be actually in, his like autobiographical thing.
I mean, Louis?
Yeah, was that not FX?
Yeah, that was FX.
Yeah, is that still on?
It's one of these ones. It's like Curb Your Enthusiasm, where it goes off for like 2 or 3 years.
That's what I was questioning. I was like, is that still on?
I mean, technically, it was supposed to maybe come back at some point, but I mean, now probably not.
Probably not. No.
Yeah. But I'm going to leave it off the table. We've had 2 big serious conversations in the last 2 or 3 weeks about this.
But the one
stuff.
You can't help but taking a shot at, can you?
No, I'm not taking a shot. I just, because Ellen Page, there was a story related to this sexual harassment topic that came out today with Ellen Page. That's not what we're going to talk about. We're actually talking about news with her to do with a TV show. There's nothing to do with that. I'm not going to mention anything else. Brett Ratner is awful, but I'm not going to mention anything else.
There we go. That's what I was waiting for.
But no. So yeah. So that's beyond sexual harassment and assault with him. Apparently, he forcibly outed her on the set of X-Men: The Last Stand.
It's because he's a prick.
I don't know. A lot of dark things coming out. So let's talk about potentially cheerier things. Like I say, if any of these stories greatly affects TV shows going forward, we'll bring it up again. But I think it's going to get to a point where we've said everything we were going to say about any of these topics. With the first, we talked about Harvey Weinstein, we talked about Kevin Spacey. Like, if more stuff comes up where we feel like we can actually add to the conversation on, or it affects something directly, sure. But
yeah,
right now, I feel like I don't want to have another serious long debate about it. Not that there was much of a debate, but we're both on this pretty similar side on the subject.
It's not a debate, it's more these guys are pricks, aren't they?
Let's shame them for
right, they are.
30 minutes. Anyway, so Ellen Page has been cast as one of the leads in The Umbrella Academy, which, funnily enough, is coming from Netflix. This is based on the Gerard Way comic book series. Of course, the article calls it a graphic novel series. I just double checked that. Just as I said that, I went, I'm going to check. Did they say that? And they said graphic. Oh, they actually said...
Was this graphic novels?
No, I don't think it was. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe this is just me, because I never checked it out before, but I was under the impression that it was.
I always assume they're wrong when they say this, but yeah, maybe in this particular one example, they actually were right, and it was a graphic novel series. Anyway, so just to remind you what this is, the live-action series follows the estranged members of the dysfunctional family of superheroes, the Umbrella Academy: Luther, Diego, Allison, Vanya, Klaus, and Number 5. It really bugs me there's 5 characters and then Number 5. Have 4 characters and then have Number 5. Anyway, as they work together to solve their father's mysterious death while coming apart at the seams due to their divergent personalities and abilities, Ellen Page is going to play Vanya, the black sheep of her family. She is the only one of the Reginald Hargreaves' adopted children that has no supernatural abilities. She's a meek and insecure wallflower. Vanya struggles to find her place in the world.
Cool. I like Ellen Page a lot.
I like Ellen Page a lot too.
Yeah. I think this is great. I think she's very good.
I'm down for it. I've not read anything by Gerard Way except the first issue of the new Doom Patrol, which, despite being weird as shit, I actually quite liked. I do intend to get back and reading that Young Animal stuff.
It's also the only thing I've read from him, but okay, cool. I mean, I've only ever heard good things about Umbrella Academy.
Yeah, as have I. It's one of these weird things where I never knew this to begin with. I think when we talked about those books, I actually didn't know he was the singer from My Chemical Romance before we talked about it.
And that was something that always put me off his work, because obviously I wasn't a fan of his lyrical writing.
Which, I mean, I don't really have much of an opinion on the lyrics himself. I've never really listened to the songs properly enough to actually hear what the lyrics are. I just hate the sound of the band, and I just kind of steered away from it.
I don't like it much at all.
Not my scene. Bit too in the emo side for me. But no, the one issue I read was good, so hopefully this is good. There's nothing about the premise I don't like.
No, it sounds pretty good.
It sounds cool. Like superhero Addams Family to me a little bit, and I'm kind of okay with that.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way of putting it by the sounds of it.
I'm kind of okay with that, so I'm down for this. And obviously, Ellen Page is a big name you put in a TV show. She's never really done TV before. She's a movie star.
Yeah, she is, and I mean, it's just kind of shown. Netflix has that draw now. Like they're up there. You know, like for a while it was maybe HBO had that draw, you know, where they could get people who'd done movies to kind of come in and do special
Honestly,
shows.
I think it's the way they shoot it. I think it's because, and this is kind of the same with HBO. I think it's because they go and film it in one big chunk like a movie. And then, you know, it's longer than a movie, but they can schedule it around it in the same way as a movie because it's just one big kind of thing.
No, that's a fair point. Because obviously with network TV, you know, they film over the whole year.
Yeah, it's about 9 months. For the actors, it's about 9 months or so they're working on the show. Yeah. I actually only know that because, I mean, maybe it's changed, but I remember back in the day, and I'm not intentionally doing this, but I remember an interview with Alison Hannigan, where she just happened to mention that 9 months out of the year she's got a full-time job, and I'm like, oh, so that's how long the actors are working. I mean, the writers may be working on all year.
I think it's maybe more common knowledge now as well with Twitter, where a lot of the actors are very public about when they're shooting and when they're not.
Yeah, they're tweeting and stuff. I've not watched any more Riverdale since the ridiculous shark jumping ending of episode 3. But no, like I'm still following like some of the actors, and it's just like, you know, like Lily Reinhart always tweets during the episodes, but like sometimes she'll be, oh, I'm on set shooting a scene. I'll tweet in between takes, and I'm like, just focus on the job, woman.
Yeah, and they'll very often say, oh, you know, first day of the season, and then the wrap day as well. So you'll kind of know when filming is.
Yeah. So that's cool. Ellen Page, Umbrella Academy. Big thing we're probably going to get sometime next year.
I'm looking forward to it.
I am. I'm not super pumped, but like my interest is peaked.
Enough that I was like, yeah, I want to watch this.
Yeah. Speaking of superhero shows and stuff, we had a bit of news from Wentworth Miller, who plays Captain Cold on The Flash and also Legends of Tomorrow, because he sort of shifted over there. And he announced that he is filming his final episodes ever on any of these shows. He's leaving the DC CW universe. And I have to kind of admit, my eyes kind of rolled at this announcement because I'm like, yeah, like you've been there regularly for the last ages. Like, I'm like, okay, it's nice that you're making a cut off and saying, yeah, I'm definitely done after this, but it's not really that much of a news item. I mean, so spoilers for previous seasons of the shows, because this happened like a year and a half ago now, but his character died like in season 1 of Legends. That was ages ago now. And they had some time travel shenanigans for a little bit last season where we got a little bit more of them. But
yeah, and that was the really funny thing, because after that death there was when they announced that for the following year his contract was, 20 odd episodes over all of the shows, not just any specific show, but it was a regular.
And he was in like 5 episodes at the end of the season at most.
Right, because they'd killed him and they didn't know how to use him.
Yeah, it was weird. It was like they made that call without actually thinking about how they're going to use them.
Honestly, do you know what I think it was? I think he said, I want to leave. And they went, hey, we'll pay you this much. We'll give you this deal if you stay. So they got him for another year, just so they could use him for what they wanted.
That is a lot of money to paying someone to keep them around. Is he worth the extra episodes that he's not doing for that?
I don't know, but
I wouldn't have to. I mean, honestly, at that point, I'd say recast them, but whatever.
yeah, but
Maybe.
I don't. I hope they don't do that.
Well, no, because now.
As much as I like Captain Cole and want Captain Cole
Well,
around,
they don't need to. He's dead.
yeah, exactly. Don't do anything. Don't recast him, bring him back. Just leave it.
But aye, so he's in the crossover seemingly. Maybe an episode or two after that as well to wrap up whatever. I assume because the crossover has like evil versions of characters coming from another universe. I assume he'll be one of those, and
Yeah,
that'll be
yeah.
it.
We know all sorts of people who are dead are showing up in it.
Yeah.
I'm excited for a couple, mainly for some certain musical cues.
Oh god. Oh god. So. Yeah, so that's a little bit of news, but nothing that I think is big. What is potentially earth-shatteringly huge, on the other hand, is a little story this week about how Disney has been in talks with Fox about acquiring basically all of their movie and TV kind of. Well, not all of TV, I should rephrase that more specifically. Fox basically are interested in whittling down so they're just news and sports and and that kind of thing.
So essentially everything that's their entertainment divisions.
Yes. They were looking at maybe selling that to Disney. And Connor's like, wait a minute. There was a news item like later the same day saying, oh, that's already fell through. Why do we need to talk about that?
Yeah.
Honestly, even if I wasn't going to say what I was about to say, I'd probably still put it in just for the discussion.
Just because we want to talk about it, because
Yeah.
we're nerds and
Yeah.
we want to talk about these things. Yeah, no, I was figuring that's where you were going with it.
However, well, I'll tell you the rest of it first, and then I'll get to the reason why it's
Then-
definitely
then
here.
to the however.
Yeah, I'll build up to the however. So yeah, so it was reported that discussions between Fox and Disney were happening about this potential buyout, so Fox could whittle down to just news and sports and other types of media, like it's factual stuff, not scripted programming, not movies, nothing like that. They wanted to, and the interesting thing is now, obviously for movies, everyone's like, oh, Disney might get X-Men and Fantastic Four, and that would complete the Marvel universe and all that. Sure. We're not really going to talk about that.
No.
We're going to talk about how this could affect TV. Here's what's really interesting about this. Part of this was really specific in all these talks, is that coming along with that would be FX networks. Now, what FX networks means is obviously FX, the channel, but also pretty much all of the cable channels they own. However, the one thing they wouldn't get TV-wise would be Fox itself, like the actual Fox network. They wouldn't get that. That would stay.
Presumably none of the. What about the shows that are currently on Fox network?
That's the thing. A lot of them are made by Fox Studios.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. But they don't want to do those anymore.
Well, that's the thing. It'd be up to. I guess it'd be up to Disney if they kept them going, and it'd be up to Disney if they treat it like, oh, you still work as a sort of separate company under us as a new subdivision, or do we just gut you and take you away? Now, there's so much to sort of unpack here with this. So first of all, it's weird that they would have FX and they'd have. I think like National Geographic falls under Fox and things. There's other channels like that I'm not sure the specifics on, but there's other ones as well that you don't necessarily think of.
FXX,
Fox,
of course.
Well, yeah, that's obvious. Yes.
Just put it out there.
So there's some obvious ones, and there's some ones that you don't necessarily realise they're owned by Fox until you go, digging into who owns what. But so they were all going to be in the deal, but Fox itself was not. And presumably Fox News, since they want to focus on news and sports.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And Fox Sports, obviously. Again, so okay, right. So this is what Fox wanted to do. Now, before we even talk about what could happen, I want to talk about why this is a terrible, terrible piece of news, and why I think it's a horrible idea, and why I hate it with every fibre in my being. And here's the thing: it's not because I don't necessarily want some of the things that people are talking about. Like, people for the movies are saying, "Oh, they get some of these Marvel properties back," and like, I don't necessarily have a problem with Disney being the ones who are releasing Avatar, or Disney being the ones that are releasing Alien and Predator movies, or whatever. It doesn't really matter that much, and on its own in a vacuum. My problem with this is that Disney is already clearly the most powerful movie studio right now.
Oh, by far.
They made two giant power plays where they bought Marvel and they bought Lucasfilm. So they have Star Wars and Marvel. And
plus obviously they're Disney animated classics. But
yeah,
a lot. Pixar.
They got Pixar. But they already had that. I'm kind of just like, when it was
Yeah.
that put them on even footing with everyone else. But then you add in Marvel and Star Wars, and look at what's doing well right now at the box office. Like, all of a sudden,
Marvel Star Wars, yeah.
they are on top. No one's coming close. I mean, others are doing fairly well. Universal's had a couple of good years after they had a few rough ones, so they're
Yeah.
doing okay.
But no one's coming close to Disney year in, year out.
No, not for the last couple of years, not really. And honestly, the reason why I don't like this at all is because it makes them so because they'll have all that. They'll have Marvel, they'll have Star Wars, they'll have Pixar, they'll have their own Disney sort of classics, which they keep redoing. They're doing Lion King, they did Jungle Book, and they're making a lot of money for them. They're doing all these things. They're at a point where they're basically scheduling things so that they don't overlap themselves when they're scheduling at these dates. So first things first, I think they would be too powerful, because they have all that. You add in Avatar, and I'm saying that first. And I know not everyone loves Avatar, but just it made it's the most highest grossing film of all time, and they're making like 4 or 5 more of the bloody things. Like, it's going to be a big thing. They're going to push and this is the thing. They have Avatar theme parks in their or Avatar like lands in their theme parks.
Yeah, they do.
So they have an interest in pushing that.
They definitely do, yeah.
Yeah. So they'd have that. They'd have Alien, Predator. They'd have what else have Fox got? They'd have Die Hard. I mean, if they do it with that, with whatever, I don't know. But like, there's so many IPs in that Fox umbrella that they would now have as well.
Yeah, and honestly, you say, oh, they're really powerful because they'd own all that, which is obviously a very big point, and completely agree. But also, yeah, they'd own all this stuff, but you're not going to get as much as it, because obviously Fox will make things to compete with Disney. They'll put them out, going, no, we're going to fight back against that.
That was my very next point. Is what I think is dangerous for the industry is on two folds. One, there's one less competitor, and because there's one less competitor, and that has made the number one even stronger. All of a sudden, you've got this lack of competition. I think I said, I think I put out a tweet saying, if this happened, if they actually merged, or if they bought all their library and their IPs, I was kind of half joking, but at the same time, I kind of feel like I'm not. Like, Warner Brothers, Universal, and Paramount would probably all have to merge just to compete, because that would be the only thing that makes them as equally strong. Because then you'd have Warner Brothers with their DC, their Harry Potter, the Lord of the Rings, whatever, and then you add in Paramount with their Transformers and their Mission Impossibles and whatnot, and then Universal would have their Jurassic Parks and Fast and the Furious, and then maybe you've got a fight. Maybe you've got a fight between them.
There's precedent for that in the entertainment industry with in music record labels. There used to be like 8 big record labels, 8 majors, and now we're down to 3 because there was a couple of buyouts, and then it's like, well, we need to combine just so we've got any chance. And just because with the various artists that they all owned.
And well, I would partly want that to happen if this goes through, so they could compete, because Disney needs competition. I already think Disney movies, on average, are kind of bland right now. I'm a little bit fatigued. I feel like Marvel's kind of formulaic. Star Wars, I mean, I'm not going to get into debate with Connor about Star Wars right now, but like, I was not a fan of Rogue One. I'm not looking forward to Han Solo. That said, the whole brand new trilogy they announced this week could have potential.
I did point out to Peter earlier this week that he's 50-50 on everything Star Wars right now. Like, it's under the Disney logo.
Sure, yeah, there's been 2 movies. I liked one of them, I didn't like the other one. Sure.
And then coming up, you got officially announced. You got Last Jedi and Han Solo. You're 50-50 on those in terms of expectations.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Anyway, I told you we weren't going to do that. We were going to debate Star Wars, right?
Just want to make it clear.
You've got that. Right, so I already feel like a lot of their biggest earners are kind of coasting to an extent. Like, I think Rogue One, not to get into the debate, but
clearly someone did not enjoy Moana.
I haven't seen Moana.
There's the problem.
Right, Moana might be great, but I'm just saying some of their biggest earners, I think Rogue One coasts on the fact that it's Star Wars. I think the Marvel movies kind of have this formula, and they kind of coast on being... That's not to say that some of them aren't fantastic, some of them are, but lately, the last couple of years, I've been feeling this a bit more, where I feel like they're kind of going through the same motions, and I'm not really feeling anything from them. And I feel like them having less competition only kind of makes that worse. It makes me worry, well, would Disney's X-Men be better than... Because, don't get me wrong, Fox have had some rough X-Men movies, right? There's been rough patches along there, but they've also made some great ones. And I will say, if nothing else, what I love right now about X-Men at Fox is that they're trying completely different things. Next year, we have 3 X-Men movies coming out. One's an R-rated comedy called Deadpool, or 2, or whatever the new one's going to be called. One's a horror movie.
Yeah.
And then you've got your sort of more traditional X-Men fight a bad guy one in Dark Phoenix. So I like that diversity. Like, I feel like they're actually doing more diverse things with X-Men at Fox than Disney are doing with the Marvel movies right now.
I can't dispute. I mean, just look at the last couple. You had Logan as the last one.
Like, yeah, that was
That's one of the most, interesting. The debates are open on quality. You can have your own opinion on the quality, but definitely one of the most interesting superhero movies in the idea that it took this superhero comic book property and just did something different with it.
That's an R-rated movie. And it's not a superhero movie. It's an R-rated movie about an old timer who's and the young person who might make him reconnect with his youth and like might make him human again. Right. And it's kind of a Last of Us post-apocalyptic kind of tone. Even it's not as post-apocalyptic, obviously, but it's got that kind of tone to it.
Right. It just so happens to be a superhero comic that it's based on.
Exactly. And that's good. I want to see more stuff like that. Obviously they also tried something different with Fantastic Four, and that didn't work quite as well. It had its own share problems, so they're not innocent. And Fox, Fox have pissed me off as many times as they've made me happy with what they've done. Like, ups and downs, right?
Hasn't every movie studio?
Everyone has. Like, I feel like none of them are completely free of guilt of making crap, right? So some feel they make more crap than other people. Sony, hello Sony, are you listening to this? But competition is good, and I want to compare it to a couple of other things. Look at video games. If Sony or Microsoft decided to throw in the towel, I would be terrified. I think they're only as good as they are, and I prefer Sony, at least right now, over Microsoft, but I think they're only as good as they are because at one point or another, the other guy was winning, and they had to step up. They had to do other things.
Yeah, I preferred the Xbox 360 over the PS3. I thought it was a better console. Debates on the game library aside. But I think the PS4 is better than the Xbox One. So, it's this idea of retaliation. It's like one up in each other because they have to.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm actually going to compare... So I said that, the best case scenario if this happens is that some of the other studios band together to try and, fight them. The downside to that is that we're left with essentially two big dogs. And we'll have some indies and stuff, but we'll have the two big dogs who are competing for the blockbusters. And the problem with that, and I'm going to compare it to something that Carr doesn't know much about, but I'm going to compare it to wrestling for just a moment. And that people know where I'm going with this, right?
It's fine, as long as you justify it.
Right, back in the 90s, we had the Monday Night Wars. We had WWF, we had WCW, and they were on at the same time. So it was a dick measuring contest. They actually aired at the same time because they wanted to beat each other, right? But they had competition. The product before that was stale, and because it was stale, and because they were losing, WWF said, okay, let's let the wrestlers go a bit wild, and let's let them develop their characters on their own. Let's try edgy things. And what was born out of that was what most people in our age group would call one of the best eras. They call it the Attitude Era. They call that, this is when ideas were flowing. It wasn't always perfect, it wasn't always great, but because they were not being safe, they were trying to do different things. It's actually one of the most productive times in recent history. And the funny thing is that it worked. It worked so well that they beat the competition so bad they ended up buying them, and the competition went away. And I'm not saying there's not great competitors and great people working there now, but
it's never been as good.
From a writing point of view, from a sort of what's going on point of view, it's being constantly playing it safe. Just been a little bit blander than it has in the past.
It's they don't have to. It's to go back to just speaking specifically about Disney movies, like Marvel movies, like you say, okay, they've got a formula. Because they keep making so much money, why do they need to change it? From their point of view, I understand. I don't like it, but I understand from Disney executives, the moneymakers, going, well, hey, this is working. People are buying this. People are coming to see it every time. Why do we change it?
I think that's where you get into the discussion, though, of take the high road. And because I understand the thought process, I understand why they do it. I'm saying, you know what? No, I actually care about the quality of our films. It's great that we're making money, and that's the really worrying part to me, or the really annoying part with Marvel and Star Wars. And this is kind of obviously they're kind of proving me wrong right now because they've announced this new trilogy with new stuff coming. But one of my key criticisms with Star Wars over the last couple of years was every time they announced a spin-off or one of these standalones, it was always it's a Han Solo movie, or it's them stealing the plans to the Death Star, and I kept saying, you have this safety net because it's called Star Wars. You could do the most craziest, silly thing ever, and it will still make money because it's called Star Wars, and yet you're still playing it safe, and that is infuriating to me.
I agree, and it was baffling as well. With the Force Awakens doing so well, it's like that was the new property, the new the fresh idea.
Yeah, obviously it was very nostalgic for the old stuff because it was harkening back to it and it
Right,
was
but it was all
connected.
the
But yeah,
new characters, new story, new things. That was the point here that I made. And I thought it was very interesting that they're actually alternating between right. Here's the new idea. Here's the one that could go wrong from their perspective, and then here's the safe thing with things people know, like Rogue One and Han Solo. They're the
yeah,
ones that
and
okay. Here are the characters you know.
and you could argue this is just because it wasn't the first one back after the big gap. But for the record, Rogue One, the safe option, made less money. I mean, it still made a lot of money, but it made less money than Force Awakens did.
Like I say, I think it was always going to make less, just
Yeah,
because.
no, it's a fair point. I think equally, it won't surprise me if Last Jedi makes less than Force Awakens, just purely for the same reason that it's not the first one back.
Honestly, I don't expect it to make more. I don't know if any Star Wars movie will make more unless it does something, that really hypes people. Then
Well, eventually, inflation has to.
okay, sure.
I mean,
but
yeah.
I mean, all right. If you adjust for inflation, to be fair,
Yeah. Okay,
then
yeah, that's fair.
just based on it's the situation, the mindset, the cultural perception of what that movie was. I don't think they'll ever capture that.
Especially since like how much of the because I have to imagine so much of that 2 billion that it hit was like repeat viewings, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure tons of people are going to repeat view Last Jedi, but will they repeat view it as much as the first one because that was the first one back, and it was like everything. The excitement was at its pinnacle. It was like, oh, Star Wars is back.
It was
after.
the first Star Wars movie in a decade, and it was the first. Yes, quality aside, it was the first one in a decade. It was the first one where people thought, oh, there's never going to be any more, and then all of a sudden there's this. Oh, hang on, this is real.
But even more so for the older folk, it's the first good one potentially in 20 plus years.
This is the saving grace.
Yeah. This was Star Wars Rebirth, to compare it to DC Comics for a brief second. Right. So that's the first problem, is that they'd be too powerful, and that would stagnate their creativity. It would stagnate their desire to actually try things that are inventive and edgy, and take some risks.
And on that idea, we're talking about how they're already kind of bloating their own schedule in terms of avoiding themselves. If they have all these other IP that are again safe properties, so to speak, it cuts the room for them to do anything smaller. Just like here's a random thing. We'll give a try on this that they do every so often. Because if it fails, so what? It's covered by all the other stuff. But if they've got nowhere to put it in the schedule, then it's just not going to happen.
The other problem, and this is much more from an industry point of view, but this is something you should care about, because it does mean less things to see, less movies and TV shows to see. But I mean, I don't know. I haven't counted. I haven't made a point of looking up and counting them. But I don't know how many big movie studios there is, and what you count as the major movie studios. But let's say there's 6 right now, right? You got Fox, Universal, Disney, arguably Sony, Paramount.
Yeah.
Would you count Lionsgate in there? Maybe.
I probably wouldn't.
I don't know if I said Universal. Obviously, I've forgotten the ones I said.
I think 5.
Let's say 5 or 6, right? So whatever it is.
Yeah.
So obviously there's little indies and there's other avenues, but you have 5 major tentpole studios that people aspire to get to so they can make bigger movies. One of them would be gone, and that is how many potential jobs are gone. And again, this is assuming that it doesn't exist. I mean, there's an entire possibility that if Disney absorb that side of Fox, they'll actually keep Fox on as an imprint, essentially, as a subdivision that still runs independently.
And again, to go back to the precedent, that's what the music industry did a lot of, where they kept them as a subsidiary. And we have lots of smaller subsidiaries, but most of them are still owned by the major labels.
Yeah. And that could work to an extent, because, I mean, arguably the Fox, if it was sort of still working as its own thing underneath Disney's as their head honchos, I feel like, yeah, technically that should be sustaining themselves. They should be justifying that they can keep making stuff because they'll be making their own money. Obviously, a cut of it's going up the ladder, but
we see that a lot in video games with the developers being bought by the major publishers.
And of course, that doesn't always end well.
No, we had one just this week. We had Respawn, the Titanfall developers were bought.
And then
EA.
just a couple of weeks ago, EA killed another studio. Now, to be fair, that wasn't one they'd bought, but same difference. They'd killed
that was one they'd created. But but now they've bought one, and it's like, okay, so you're working for them now, even though if you look from the outside, you're still making your games. It's just that you're not doing it on your own will anymore.
So yeah, you want more competition. You want more places where movies and shows can be made. You want more things that more avenues where a filmmaker can go. And yeah, for the filmmakers themselves, it's one less place, one major less place they can get a job. They can say, oh, I can take my movie to Fox and get it done. Again, that's assuming that it doesn't still exist in a kind of weird, kind of the same way that New Line still exists under Warner Brothers. But it's still Warner Brothers.
It's the same, in TV we talk about like other networks bid for scripts, and it's like, oh, we want this show. It's like, here now you got something good, you can take it to multiple ones and go, right, who's going to get me the most? Where's the best option for this?
It's funny actually, just compare, and it's funny because Warner Brothers own DC, but I have always thought of New Line since they bought them as Warner Brothers Vertigo. Because all the horror movies typically go to New Line. Horror movies and some comedies, the R-rated comedies tend to be New Line as well.
Yeah, you're right.
I've always thought of that. I think it's funny that they own DC, and that's kind of how it's all the superheroes at DC, and then you have Vertigo for your horror and other edgy
Good
stuff.
business model.
It works, because it's kind of like
it's kind of like Fox and FX.
In terms of TV, I was going to say it's like Fox, and to an extent, Fox Searchlight, which is like the indie movie subdivision. That's the one that typically makes the award winners and stuff, like because they do all the low budget stuff. And that's another thing. If they absorb Fox, does Fox Searchlight go away?
Yeah. Or again, that all goes down to if it's a subsidiary or not.
Yeah.
If it's still a subsidiary, then Fox will keep that chain there. But yeah.
Yeah, and obviously we talked a lot about movies because obviously it affects that maybe more obviously. But then you've got these TV questions that come up. Okay, Fox is still around. Are the shows that are on Fox, are they still kept going? Maybe at first they would be. But
yeah, maybe while they got contracted up, but
here's the thing though, Fox still own that channel. They want out of this side of the business. Like, do they say, yeah, we don't want to broadcast any of these anymore?
Yeah, I mean, best case scenario is they make a deal to, Disney produces the content, like the ones that they say, okay, no, we want to keep making that because that's obviously making money. We'll keep financing that and then essentially just ship it to Fox as the network until it ends its run, but Fox doesn't order anything new as a network.
That'd be kind of weird though if we get to a point where some are still going, but half the shows have ended and
it would.
And I think in terms of regulations, there's something murky here about because Disney own ABC.
That's true.
I think they couldn't put content on Fox.
But yeah, that's why I'm thinking that's the way they could get around it, because they can produce the content and then ship it to the other network.
So I'm not sure what happens with Fox. I really have no idea what happens with Fox. Them getting all these cable channels is probably a pretty good thing. I don't know if Disney have as many, like FX.
What cable stuff does Disney have at the minute?
Disney have ABC Family. They have the Disney Channel, obviously. I think they do some sports stuff, but I don't know if they have a
premium cable style.
Yeah, or even like a basic cable equivalent to FX. I don't know if they do. I can't think of one. Because Universal got USA Network.
Yeah.
CBS, they have Showtime and other stuff. Fox have
Paramount
FX,
are going to have their thing.
Well, technically still theirs already.
Well, I mean,
anyway.
it is theirs, but I wouldn't count it as a...
Sure.
It's a real contender right now.
Universal, aka NBC, also have Sci-Fi as theirs. Yeah, so they've got a couple of big ones. I don't know. Did Disney have one? I can't think of one. Maybe this would just be a new thing for them.
Maybe they don't, and this is why they want their streaming service that we've heard about before.
More than that later. Don't worry. I've got the streaming service just for later. Don't you worry.
I'm aware.
Right, so all that put aside, so I said there was a however, because we said
Yes.
this deal was reported dead the same day it popped up, whatever day that was during the week.
Yeah, the impression was that, this had happened, but it was like, it was never going to be public, but okay, if people are talking about it, we kind of, put it to bed.
However, Friday, which is today, although we're recording
This is why I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, we are recording much later than normal because Connor was having tech issues. Which, by the way, if there's no 1.21 in Flux next week, that's why.
Yeah.
But, so, today, CNBC, obviously a big business, news reporter website, are reporting that the deal has not been completely abandoned. There's no current talks happening at the moment. They're not actually having meetings right now, but it's not off the table. It's not dead.
God's sake.
So how likely that makes it be, I'm not sure. Also, it's worth mentioning in terms of Europe, Disney would get a big stake in Sky.
Yeah.
That's another thing they would get. So there's a lot of complex ideas. By the way, this news story really confused me when it first popped up because it kept saying 21st Century Fox, and I'm like, who's 21st Century Fox? It's 20th Century Fox. It doesn't make sense. But apparently the parent company that owns all the Fox stuff is actually called 21st Century Fox. You learn something every day.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you learn something every day. Which I guess they named that later. Because
That or they were really forward thinking.
yeah, they were. That said, though, when we get to the 22nd, not that we're going to be living to see it, admittedly, but when we get to the 22nd century,
Speak for yourself.
oh aye, you'll live to what,
106. It's plausible.
It's unlikely though.
It's unlikely, but it's not
The way-
impossible.
The way you eat,
Yeah, I'm screwed.
you'll be
It's all
like,
right. The medical technology will have caught up with me.
sure.
I'll be a head in a jar. It's all good.
You'll be lucky if you hit 2060, to be honest, the way you eat, quite frankly. So, so yeah, that's the however at the end, is that it's still not completely dead. We didn't just have all that conversation for nothing. Otherwise, I'd have stopped it earlier, I think, had it been completely dead.
Yeah.
But
But it's not, and it could happen one day. And this thing, I remember, when Disney bought Lucasfilm, it was kind of out of nowhere. There wasn't any rumblings leading up to it. It was just one day. It's like, oh hey, these are ours now.
it was all shit. Yeah.
And this has kind of come out as a leak almost, because this wasn't supposed to be anything, but
And it makes you wonder, because the funny thing about this to me is that Fox are the one who are wanting to do this. Fox are the one who want to refocus what their primary things are. And I wonder if, like, okay, if Disney say no, do they go somewhere else? Do they go to Warner Brothers and say, hey, do you want to buy our content? Do they go to Universal and say, hey, do you want to buy our content?
Maybe this was a tactic. They've leaked this idea that there's talks with Disney so that they can go to the others going, hey, look, there's interest.
Yeah, I don't know which one I'd want to take it. I feel like Warner Brothers might be too powerful. Same argument, because they've got a lot of big things.
And maybe Paramount.
Paramount could probably use it, and they don't have too much already.
But are they not got enough money to buy it in the first place?
That's also a concern. I feel like Sony has next to nothing other than Spider-Man, and everything else they do seems to be failing or flopping. But at the same time, it's that way because they're so shit at being a studio. So I don't know if I want them to get a hold of all those properties.
I'd rather them didn't. Yeah.
But then again, if they kept it as a subdivision, which I don't think they would, because they're so light on properties, I feel like they'd probably just ingest all.
Yeah, I mean.
And to be fair, just for the record, I happen to know that Sony movies are in no position to be buying a studio.
Yeah.
Right? They're in bad situation right now.
This is the one thing we could say about Disney is precedent tells us that it'll continue as a subdivision in the same way that Marvel Studios exists as Marvel Studios. Lucasfilm still exists as Lucasfilm.
Yeah, I think the difference is though is that those have clear brands that go with them. Fox doesn't. Fox, it's like, who cares if Predator comes from Fox?
It's a good point.
Whereas Star Wars is a package, you want to keep that same as, Lucasfilm's associated with it. Marvel, that's a brand. Fox isn't a brand, it's just the studio that happens to make all the
It's just the logo that you happen to have at the start of a fifth of your films.
Yeah, that'd be the real shame, losing the Fox intro.
It would be.
It's not my
already missed
favourite
on Star Wars.
But yeah, it's actually really weird to me in Star Wars how it just goes to the Lucasfilm one.
It is strange. I'm not gonna deny that. It's just strange. It's just you're so conditioned to having the other stuff first.
If it's going to be just the Lucasfilm logo, make a proper fancy one that has music to start it off. That's my.
I mean, I'm surprised they didn't add in a Disney logo. I think they will eventually down the line. I think they didn't want to at first because they want to say, no, look, we're not getting in the way, we're not interfering, we're letting them do their thing.
That's the thing, they might not, because it's not really a Disney. And the reason why I say this is because the only stuff that has a Disney logo at the start of the movie are actual kids' Disney movies and animated stuff. Their more adult stuff goes to Miramax and stuff like that.
It's true.
And
they put the Disney movie at the end now of the Marvel movies, right?
What, you mean the logo?
Yeah.
I don't know if they put the logo there. They definitely mention it's part of Disney, but I don't know if they put the logo at the end. I can't remember. Yeah. So I'm just so I think in that case it's kind of like what they already did for decades with those more adult films. They didn't put the logo at the start of Halloween 6. To use an example.
Maybe they should have done.
That I saw recently, because that'd be weird. So maybe it's the same kind of thing. Like a Disney logo at the start of Star Wars maybe feels out of place. The same way it would feel out of place if they do get Fox. I don't want to go see Alien 18 and have a Disney logo at the start. Not unless they do something funny with it, where like, there's a chest burster coming out of the castle or something.
Oh, I'd be down for that. That'd be an excellent intro. I love it when side note, I love it when they get inventive with the logos.
Oh, I like it as well. I like it. Happy Death Day. I think I mentioned this somewhere. I definitely told Connor, but that's a movie like Groundhog Day where she repeats the same day over and over. The Universal logo at the start plays for about 5 seconds and then rewinds to the start and then does that a couple of times before it plays all the way through. I thought that was really funny. It put me in the mood for the movie. I'm like, you know what? You've already got me, movie. You've already got me in the mood for this. So yeah. So this was going to be a shorter episode, and then we talked about that for nearly 30 minutes. So
you're welcome, folks.
I'm ending it here. I'm ending this here.
Yep.
So let's talk about shows. Let's talk about news shows. Let's get to
we actually have TV stuff to discuss.
The actual news. I mean, that did affect TV. Admittedly, obviously, it tangents into movies stuff as well, but both are affected substantially. Anyway, so comedies first. ABC's put in development a show called How May We Hate You. Have you signed up to star in this already? I feel like you're perfect.
I was wondering what you were waiting for there. Very, very good.
I think the timing added to that joke, personally. I think I stretched it out just long enough. This comes from one of the producers of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So, I mean, let's pay attention. Because we like Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Interest is piqued.
I have a season and a half of that to watch now, actually, because I've not watched it since the end of season... What, they're on now 5? So yeah, I watched season 3. I've not seen 4.
That's the last one I saw as well.
Yeah, I've not seen 4.
It's three starts with the undercover stuff, right? The witness protection.
Yeah. So I'm actually happy though, because I'm like, I'm going to have 2 seasons to binge when I'm going to get to it now.
Yeah, I'll probably do it over Christmas.
I love that. So yeah, Justin Noble's the producer in question. It's got a script commitment plus penalty. It's based on a book and a blog by Anna Dresden and Todd Dakota Briscoe. That's a hell of a name. Todd Dakota Briscoe. It sounds like I should be a detective in the 70s. Detective Briscoe on the scene.
Let's throw him in Fargo.
Doesn't play by the rules. It revolves around 2 inseparable guest services associates at a high-end resort property and the co-workers and hotel guests that they're stuck with for 8 to 16 hours a day. So it's a workplace comedy at a holiday resort. And they have to deal with shitty guests, I imagine.
Yeah.
That's a fine idea. It's a fine place to set a comedy. And I like the producer.
Yeah.
Well, I like the producer's previous show. I mean, I don't know if I liked his work specifically. That's the thing. There's a lot of writers and producers on TV shows. You never really quite know if the one that we're mentioning is the one, the asshole in the room.
Or if they're the one behind some of the greatest ideas.
Yeah, you don't know if they were shooting stuff down in that writer's room all through the show, or if they were doing something. If they were contributing the good stuff. But
yeah,
hey, shifting over to NBC. Did I miss something here? I just want to make sure. Okay. Shifting over to NBC. We've got an untitled comedy, which is based on a 2016 GQ article. That's right, we've got a TV show based on an article.
I'm confused. Please explain.
From one of the producers of Veep, Sean Gray. He's producing it. So, forgive me, I've got a lot of indigestion or something today. I don't know what's going on. So first up, it's untitled. That was the first thing I was going to say. So yeah, I threw myself off there. So untitled comedy about a team of super trainers who travel the country opening new branches of a popular casual dining restaurant chain, while filling the hole in their own souls, one perfect onion ring at a time.
I like onion rings.
I'm not a big onion guy, so I'm not super sold on onion rings.
I'm not, but you throw them in batter, I'm going to eat it.
Yeah, so the name of the article, by the way, was called Inside the Church of Chili's. So obviously for the show, I think they're just making up a fast food chain. But so the idea is they go around opening them and training the staff and what the Bible of this fast food place is.
Yeah,
what the rules are.
Sounds cool.
That sounds like an okay idea, to be honest. It's, I presume, single camera. It doesn't mention, but given the premise, it feels weird.
It has to be, doesn't it?
There's no, I mean, unless they're literally using the same set every week and claiming it's in a different state or whatever.
I mean, I can see the benefit to that being like, no, it's supposed to look identical. We make all of them look the same.
Also, I kind of like that this is fast food Mindhunters.
Yeah.
In fact, it's a shame it's not set like back in the 70s or something, or even earlier, and like they actually, because down in Mindhunter we kept waiting for them to invent the term serial killer, I want to watch this and be like, okay, when's the phrase fast food going to be made? When's that happening?
Yeah.
Next up, also at NBC, it's at Fox. We have less comedies this week. I'm expecting like batches of them, and there's just one from each. This is the last one as well, so not a lot. Eva Longoria is producing or executive producing a single camera comedy at Fox. It's untitled right now. It'll follow a woman named Amanda who is married to an Italian aristocrat. But when her husband and co-host decides to leave their home shopping network type show, I feel like that could have been phrased better. I feel like you should have mentioned that before.
Yeah.
Because you say co-host first, I'm like, well, co-host of what? And I'm like, oh, okay, right, it's an awkward sentence. Her royal title and the show's shtick are put in jeopardy. To keep her princess brand alive, she enlists the help of her estranged stepson to continue the show. So, she has a show she does with her husband, who's, royalty, and he did...
Sorry. They're royalty, their show is struggling, but they're royalty. Why do they not just have money and go, hey, we can just do this because we want to do it?
No, the show's not struggling. It's put in jeopardy because he leaves, he doesn't want to do it anymore.
Right, okay, so he was funding it.
Yeah, and the whole brand, the whole shtick, as they put it, is that it's royal themed because they're royalty.
Got it.
And then she's going to get her stepson, who obviously is his son, who's technically part of the family, to be the royal element. So that she gets to keep doing it. And it's like, honestly, the way they've written it's very convoluted.
I think that's why I'm confused and getting a bit hung up on this, because it didn't flow.
It's the sort of thing, though, I feel like when you actually see this on camera, it might be really simple. I can see it working well enough when they're just showing us it.
Yeah,
I
agree.
I can tell you right now, the opening scene of the pilot is going to be a chunk of one of their episodes.
It'll start on the show, and then it'll be the end of an episode.
Yeah.
And then it'll cut to him going, right, I'm leaving. It'll be an old moment at the end of the show.
Maybe not that quick, but yeah, I can just...
it will.
I can see them yelling cut, and then they'll take off their mics, and then we'll get...
I can see him announcing it on the show.
Look, maybe. I don't know. I'm not going to argue, but yeah, possibly. It's possible.
This is another one of my crazy predictions. I'm calling it now.
I see this one as possible, so I'm not going to fight you on it.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
I'm unprepared for the dramas. I haven't got any alcohol for my drinking game.
Oh, that's a shame.
And unless you give me 1 minute to go and get some.
No.
Oh man.
So next time we break, if we happen to go over 30 minutes
there's not going to be enough shows for that.
So we're still on page 2, to be fair.
Miss all the fun stuff.
Disney. Obviously, this is the big Disney news, right? So technically, we don't have a lot of information on these shows, but I put this at the top of the dramas because this is technically the announcement of like 4 shows, and some of them, of course, are more related to what we'd care about than others. But so we already knew Disney were doing a streaming service. They're going to do this. They've already announced they're taking everything they own, with the exception of what Netflix also helped produce, which is their Marvel shows so far. They'll be coming off of Netflix and other streaming services, and Disney will have their own streaming service, which is going to launch in 2019.
Still think it's amusing, given that just last year they had a deal with Netflix, where like the idea that once everything comes to home release, you get it like pretty much instantly.
Clearly, they had some more meetings after that and changed their minds.
Yeah,
but this is where we are. They want to do their own service, and what they basically announced this week, and I say announced, it was basically just Bob Iger, who's the CEO,
the head honcho.
Yeah. He like basically just went in an interview was like, oh yeah, we're developing these things and this is what's all going to happen. So this all came out, and so what he said, what's in development, and it's funny because I don't know if we were talking about this on a show or if we were just talking about this off camera at some point, but we were talking about how it's weird there's no live action Star Wars show yet. Sure enough, the one thing they know they can do to drive people to their service is we're going to do a live-action Star Wars TV show. It's going to start in late 2019.
They got my money already. Look, what can I say? I'm a sucker.
Do you know what I hate? I hate that we're going to review it, so I'm going to have to get it, and it's going to pain me.
Yeah. You might like it.
I'll hopefully do a month free trial, and then if I hate the first episode, I can cancel. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. We can cancel.
I'm excited.
I'm sure you are. Connor's watching his words because he knows that if he says too much positive things about Star Wars, I'm going to go off and one about how I'm not that excited.
I will just say the reason why I'm so excited is that the Clone Wars and Rebels, the 2 animated shows, are potentially some of my favourite parts of the entire franchise. And I just love TV as a medium more as movies. I think that, because I love what you can do with the characters.
Mm-hmm.
So for those reasons, why I'm looking forward to this a lot more than that trilogy that was just announced.
Star Wars was a mistake. No, I'm joking. I
You know how there's all those time travel plots. Like the ideas of if you go back and kill Hitler. I feel like for you, it's I'm going to go back and kill George Lucas.
Hey, that's one of Patton Oswalt's comedy bits.
Is it?
Yeah, he talks about going back to the 90s and killing George Lucas with a shovel before he can make the prequels.
I haven't heard it. I've never
No,
watched any of this
I can't remember the whole thing, but I remember that clip of him saying that, and
Okay.
it being very amusing.
Was it less amusing coming from me?
Aye.
Yeah.
Of course it was. You're not Patton Oswalt. So, as far as the live action Star Wars show goes, honestly, like, I mean, I'm kind of playing a bit of a character here and rolling my eyes at it. I really don't. I'm really indifferent. Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm like I like Star Wars, the first movies. I like Force Awakens. I like science fiction. I like TV shows. I mean, this could potentially be the kind of thing where, you know how Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has kind of become my favourite part of the Marvel Universe in terms of the movies? I could easily see this Star Wars TV show becoming my favourite Star Wars thing. It could easily happen, right? As much as I want to poke fun at Connor and imply that I'm going to hate it, and basically I'm going to be so sarcastic during that review. I'm going to be playing with his emotions the whole time. It's going to be so entertaining.
And I've already warned him that if he's just going to be a dick, I'm not doing past the first episode because I'm not doing that every week.
But I think there's potential. Obviously, I'm not excited about it because all we have right now is that Star Wars and TV show. We know nothing about anything. It's the same with the new trilogy. Then it's like everyone's like, "Oh, new trilogy," and I'm like, I'll give them credit because they said it's going to be completely new with different characters, and I'm pleased about that. But at the same time, I'm not excited because there's nothing.
To be fair, at least we have some talent attached to that one. We've got a name. We know who it's coming from.
We do. Although to be fair, that talent is someone that I'm lukewarm on so far.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I like Looper, but I don't think it lives up to its potential. I didn't love Brick.
That's fair.
Obviously, he did some good episodes of Breaking Bad, but obviously full points for those. But he's not. That's not his entirely in terms of.
No. I
What's
mean,
good about
I
it.
think on that it'll be much clearer after Last Jedi to know. Okay,
Well,
do we want a trilogy from
Yeah,
this guy?
because by that point we'll see what Ryan Johnson's Star Wars looks like, and at that point, okay, we have maybe a.
Of course, the argument there is, that's kind of like Breaking Bad. It's not entirely his. He's kind of working in the constraints.
True. But honestly, yeah, the most exciting thing about that trilogy is that no, he can go and do something darker in a weird corner somewhere.
He
That
can do because a lot of his movies they are something a bit different compared to Star Wars. They don't typically play by those ideas.
yeah, and I do like Looper. Just in case anyone thinks I don't like, I do like Looper. I just think it's got a lot of good ideas that is harmed by a really weird pacing structure, and I just think it's a flawed movie. It's a movie I like, but it's flawed.
I love the music in all of his movies. I've not watched all of them, but I've heard all of them.
Sure.
I know I think it's like his cousin or something that's the composer, and he's a great. I hope he brings him on for the Star Wars stuff, because if it's not trilogy, I think that was actually my biggest problem with Rogue One is I like the score. I like it more now than I did at the time.
But it's just a Star Wars score.
But it's a Star Wars score. I want something different. Give me something different with the score. Just do something different. And I think they could with that.
We just have to get through this stupid Han Solo movie that no one really wants. Like people say they do.
Even I will concede that is the low point of everything so far that has been announced.
Like, I don't know, and Ron Howard says that he's reshot like 80% of it, and he's like been taking these set photos that showing how happy he is, and I'm like, okay. I mean, it'll be serviceable certainly because he's a competent director, of course, but
I'm definitely less excited for it than I was when it was Lord and Miller because I really like Lord and Miller.
Yeah, and obviously, talking about them not wanting to take risks and fitting their style, just as as Disney's. I mean, I know it's more Lucasfilm in this case, but that's maybe part of an example of that. Where no, we don't want you to do your edgy thing. We want to fit our.
But yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if they let Ron Johnson do his thing.
Well, I think the one thing we can definitely say is that they're pleased with what he's done with Last Jedi internally.
Yeah,
They don't let him announce that he's doing 3 more that are completely his creation if they don't like that movie.
Oh, of course not.
That'd be like after Fantastic Four, Fox said, "Oh, by the way, we're giving Josh Trank a trilogy of his own. Anything he wants to do, we're just going to throw money at him."
Yeah.
um,
Instead, he's basically never working again, really, is he?
Seemingly, I mean, maybe he'll have a comeback eventually, but right now he's off the grid. So we got a Star Wars
When he
TV
was
show.
supposed to do a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, he was actually, funny enough, just to connect those tangents. So we got a Star Wars live action TV show. Could be good, could be bad, could be anything at all. So right now, they don't even have a name for it. It's just a Star Wars TV show, but it's happening, right? And
So,
as far as like putting something on that service to entice people over to it, it's a good idea. The other good idea is they said that it's going to be priced lower than Netflix, because their argument is that it's going to have less content than Netflix, so they should price lower. How long that'll last, we'll see. But I agree, as a starting point, it's a good idea. So we've got that, but then there's three other things. Some more specific than others. The one that's not specific, and this makes a lot of sense, as an original Marvel TV show.
of course.
Which does make me think, okay, sure, so these Defenders shows that we've had on Netflix, they're still on Netflix because they're partly owned by them, and we'll probably get more seasons of those shows there, because that's where they live. But does this mean there's not going to be any more Marvel show announcements from Netflix? Like, is Punisher the last new one?
I don't think so.
You don't think
And
so?
here's why.
Okay.
I think they keep that as the brand. You know, like anything that's kind of that style, they'll put there.
So
And then
you,
they'll come up with something different for the
Okay.
Disney the Disney service. Go, right, okay, and this way you come for these ones.
so you think if it's something like, say, I don't know, people have been talking about how Moon Knight could fit into that world with those characters. If they do a Moon Knight show, it'll be on Netflix because it'll fit with those.
Yeah, if they think
Okay.
it'll fit with those characters, they want to interact with those. I think they'd be idiots to put it on their own service just to have it on their service. I think they'll
Okay.
make. I think they know they can make more money on Netflix by having it connect and the brand awareness.
No, that's some sense in that, and it makes me wonder though. Then, assuming they want their own umbrella on their service, what is that umbrella? What does that include? Is their service the one that finally has a show that ties into the movies a bit more and actually?
Yeah, or arguably, do they do Marvel space stuff?
Which would tie into Guardians in a sense, but yeah, you'd have your Nova and you'd have your all that stuff.
That sort of stuff. The
maybe.
idea of just because then there's no question of why is this not on Netflix. It's like, no, this is clearly its own thing.
Yeah, it's often its own little pocket. That's an interesting idea. It could be that. That could be where they go with it.
I don't know what else. I can't.
I mean,
I'm
maybe
not-
this is too similar to the DC service with the Titans, but is that where they say, oh, this is where we'll do Young Avengers, and we'll do Kamala Khan, and we'll do...
No, I can see it actually.
yeah.
I think especially if Titans goes well, they might want to go. Oh, we can compete with that.
Because people want Kamala Khan. People really
Oh,
want
they
that.
do, yeah.
And so do I. I mean, I've only read a couple of issues, but it's one of the few things from Marvel right now. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go back and read that when it's a complete run.
I've not read any just because I never wanted to, but I have no problem with it. I'm all for her existing on TV.
So I could see them doing that. I could see that being a thing. But hey, so I mean, admittedly, we've got so many Marvel shows right now that I can't, it's hard to get excited about it. But
I think it'd be the excitement is it could be something different. It'll have a different tone. It'll feel fresh. Hopefully.
So you get a Star Wars show, you get a Marvel show, then we get a Pixar show.
Sold.
Monsters Inc. is the show in particular. I don't know if that means it's going to be the exact characters from the movie, because I feel like you could probably get them to do voices for a TV show, because it's just voice work. You could probably sway it.
Yeah.
But they could just do something in the universe of Monsters Inc. rather than.
I mean, they could have them still, working at the same the Screen Factory. You just, have like the day-to-day job sort of thing almost.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's an okay idea. And then the fourth one, the one that I feel like we went in order as what we cared about. Like, Star Wars is the most exciting because we've not had a Star Wars TV show before. Marvel, because it's very much in our wheelhouse, but it's hard to be excited because it's another Marvel show. And then Monsters Inc. We like Pixar, but we don't really do animated shows. And then
I personally, I think I'm more excited for that than the Marvel one. But
that's fair. But in terms of what we cover, I think it's definitely in third place. And then what we absolutely will not be covering in any way, shape, or form is High School Musical, the TV show.
oh boy, no.
I wouldn't be opposed to doing the pilot as a joke, but I would never do it a second more than that.
No, I have a tortured relationship with that franchise.
If I recalled correctly, when you were in school and band, they made you play a lot of those the tracks from it.
Which was annoying because I ended up quite liking some of them to play. They were fun to play.
Wait, that just makes me realise High School Musical's that old that we were in high school when it was a thing.
Yeah, yeah, I
God
know.
damn it.
But it was actually like they were really fun to play. They were interesting. They were challenging, like way harder than I thought they were going to be. I mean, they're boring to listen to and in the film, but like I really had fun playing them.
Yeah,
So it's like I kind of like them now.
you went into it thinking it's going to be the same four chords over and over again. It's going to be the most basic.
But it's not. It was actually really interesting and complex. And I was like, so I kind of like these songs now, but I still hate the movie.
You went in thinking 4/4 time, and you went in and it was this compound
Oh yeah, but
monstrosity,
it was all over the place.
but it changed for each verse and whatever
Yeah,
else.
yeah, it really did.
Actually, in high school, I played guitar, and there was a few of us who wanted to kind of try. I mean, we weren't necessarily a band officially, but it was like, let's get together and play some music and see if we can do anything. And I wrote a few things for us to play, and one of them, I had it in 6/9 time, I want to say,
6/8.
6/8, in the verse. No, I think it was 6/9 because it was a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a kind of thing. Is that 6/8? I could have sworn
Yeah,
there was a 9 in that time signature, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's what you did. That was 6/8.
Yeah. Okay. And I had it changed to 4/4 for the chorus, and the drummer tried it once and went, "No, not doing it. Not happening. I can't change." And I'm like, "Come on! People have changing time signatures and tracks. It's not like I just invented a
That's
thing."
a pretty common one as well.
Is it?
Yeah, 6/8 to 4/4 is pretty. It's like okay, that's comfortable.
You just do a fill. The fill gives you like a
Yeah.
a stopping point, and then you go on your time. This is a weird tangent to go on, but.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
And if he ever listens to this, he's going to be pissed at me that I'm bashing his drum playing.
However many years later, he's just there going, "I can do it now."
No, he's not touched a drum kit in like 10 years probably, but
Okay, fair enough.
I remember having a debate. Oh, this is too weird. Why have you got a different... Songs have different time signatures. Orchestral pieces go through like 50 of them sometimes, depending on the piece. You don't hear those?
Bitch.
You don't hear those percussion sections complaining, or do you?
Oh, you do. You do.
Oh, they all whinging. All right, okay.
Yeah, they don't mind a couple of changes, but as soon as you get to like the sixth change, they're just like, "Oh, I'm sick of this now." I'm with them. I feel them.
Yeah, that's too many. Don't get me wrong, that's too many. But I feel like chorus being one, verse being the other, and you're switching between the same two. I feel like you get into it.
Yeah.
Simple enough. So that's the.
I guess we've just forced ourselves to be obligated to watch the first episode of that because we just talked all that. We just wasted everyone's time.
We'll forget. We'll forget. As long as no one reminds us, we'll forget.
Yeah, we're safe.
You bastards! I know what you're going to do now. Not happy about it. So that's the Disney streaming service news, which ended with us talking about time signatures. Jesus Christ! For the amount of news we have, this is far too long. I can't believe how long this has been already.
I'm thinking.
So on to some new dramas. We're on to mostly new. There's a couple that we've had before, but they've been officially greenlit or whatever. Obviously, I mixed those in because they're all kind of in the same section. So first up. IDW Entertainment. There's no network yet, but IDW recently announced that they are going to start, doing multimedia. They're going to start, producing shows and things like that.
Yeah.
That was a while ago. This is, I think, the first big announcement they've made in terms of what they're actually, this is something we're making. This is something that's happening. They are financing and producing a new scripted show called Darkness Visible, which is based on and you know what? It's funny how this comes from an actual comic company. They call it a comic miniseries.
They know their shit and they're like, oh, we're not falling for this bollocks.
Yeah, this comes from a company that started off in comics, so they're getting the terminology right. So I'm going to assume that they're accurate and it's a comic miniseries. So good lads. So this is the comics by Mike Carey and Arvind Ethan David. So they're the creators behind this. So Darkness Visible takes place in a world in which demons help the Allied powers win World War II. And humanity has reluctantly agreed to share the world with another sentient race. 60 years later, this uneasy coexistence has spawned an endless terrorist conflict. Detective Daniel Aston, charged with being the thin blue line between the two sides, is tested to the limit when a demon sets up house inside his soul. Darkness Visible is both a supernatural thriller and a meditation on race, immigration, terrorism, and politics in a radically different world, but also scarily similar to our own.
This sounds really good.
That's interesting. I like the premise.
That's hitting all the notes that I want to hear.
I could easily see this in a number of streaming or cable places.
Yeah. Was this comic? Was it IDW that originally published it?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's the idea, is that
yeah.
it's IDW comics they're turning into stuff. But um, yeah,
I'm more than down for this.
we have, we have allegories for things that are going on. We have demons, and we have scary things. Just the idea of alternate history, where we
I
had
love alternate histories. Yeah,
someone helped us win something like before.
I think it's different as well because usually the alternate histories are what if we lost the war? It's not what if we
Yeah,
won it, but because of this. You don't see that very often.
yeah, it's a nice idea. Obviously, it's not the same thing, but it reminds me of what's that comic called by Brian K. Vaughan? Oh, the plot is there's no superheroes, but one kind of superhero appeared, and on 9/11 he stopped the second tower from being hit. And then Ex Machina, that's what it's called. Sorry,
Oh, is that what that's about?
yeah, that's what the plot of that is. That's like, and you get flashbacks to that happening and what he was doing as a superhero. But the present day story is him running for like mayor of New York City. It's funny you like BKV, because I feel like this plot is right up your
I'll
alley.
be honest, I've never tried that. I remember it existing,
Yeah, nah.
but I never looked into it because I'm not a big fan of his.
I love his
Maybe I will
work.
check that
I never
out
actually finished it. I read the first hardcover. They put out like 5 deluxe hardcovers as the whole thing. I really liked the first book. Not as much as Why the Last Man of Saga, which I adore, but that's the one you should probably check out, because it's kind of your
That
speed.
sounds like one I'd be down for. You say that I should be down for Saga, but
You should be, and it's insane that you're not. I love that.
I don't know why I don't. I
if
don't
they-
get it. I should.
If they get to a TV show, though, we'll be doing the TV show, and
I'm sure it's going to happen at some point.
yeah. But of course, going through a different medium, kind of, what you don't like about the writing might be filtered out.
It
through
might.
that
And there's
process.
there's something that that was relevant to that this week.
Was it?
Yeah, that's a good point. I assumed you'd have put it at the end. You haven't got the news on Deadly Class.
Oh no, I glossed over that because that was one of those stories where it's like, here we've got like 9 cast members. Here's a paragraph for every single one, and for the most part, there wasn't really much that I think we would like.
No, I agree. Usually you put these into a mind that exists, and the only real interesting casting was Benedict Wong.
Yeah, yeah, I skipped it because I feel like it hadn't been that long since we brought it up, and it was like sometimes I'll put them in to remind us it exists, but the paragraphs for every single character were so goddamn long that I was just like, yeah, we're going to have nothing to really say
Oh
about
yeah,
it.
no, I didn't bother on that. I got Benedict Wong's in it. I like Benedict Wong.
I had my tab open and then I closed that one. I said no, that's one that's not making it in.
That's my best hope. Is that's from a writer who I don't like.
Yeah, I agree, because I don't like Rick Remender either.
Yeah, so maybe filtering it through will make it watchable.
I think it may be. That's one case where I think sort of almost watering it down for TV a little bit will actually help it for us. Whereas for Saga with me, I feel like I might have problems with what they
It'll
water down.
lose something in the translation, whereas here we might just make it more digestible.
But it might work in its own way in TV. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be bad, because it's changed a little bit. But speaking of comic book adaptations, Amazon have officially greenlit an 8-episode season of The Boys. This is the Garth Ennis comic. And Eric Kripke's going to be the showrunner. He obviously did the early seasons of Supernatural, so he's got some cred behind him. It's a solid show. The Boys is based in a comic by Garth Ennis and Derek. Well, that's a weird. Is that Irish? That sounds Irish to me. Derek, Darick, or Derek, I suppose maybe. I feel like Derek sounds better.
Yeah,
Derek.
I'm not familiar with it.
Derek Robertson. It depicts a world in which superheroes embrace their darker sides of their celebrity and fame. The titular Boys are a group of vigilantes who set out to take down these corrupt superheroes with no powers of their own, but with nothing but blue-collar grit and a willingness to fight dirty. So you've got regular people who decide to overthrow some of these asshole superheroes who are now taking advantage of people. I've never read it. Sounds interesting.
Yeah, I've not either. I've not read a lot of his works, I'll be honest.
I've read a first chunk of Preacher, which I enjoyed a lot. It's much better on the show. So hopefully this one translates better. And I feel like with Eric Kripke, I can see this premise at least working. Whether or not it will stand up to the series of the
I
comic
think
series.
it's got a more made-for-TV premise. In the sense, okay, we've got a cast, we've got a location. Whereas Preacher, it's a road trip.
Also, 8 episodes, nice and tight.
Yep.
I can see this working a
Some
lot.
Amazon budget.
This is something we can add to the Amazon interested list.
Definitely.
Which might make next year. I can see it being, at this point though, we're so late in 2017 that this might be a 2019
yeah.
endeavour. It just kind of depends. It depends when they start shooting it. It depends when they get going. Because So, because sometimes when they announce these greenlit things, they're like a couple of weeks from shooting. Like they've kept it quiet
Yeah,
whilst they're in
and
pre-production.
sometimes we don't see the show for a couple of years.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it can go either way, in that sense. Speaking of a show that we already heard about, it's still untitled. This is the Jennifer Aniston, Reese Witherspoon morning show drama. So the premise is that they have like a morning show, but it's fiction. Obviously, it's kind of like how newsrooms like based around a newsroom set. Kind of
Yeah,
idea.
yeah, obviously.
So this has got a home because this was looking for
Yeah, I remember.
a platform when we first talked about it. It has a platform. It's been ordered straight to series for 2 seasons.
Oh, okay. There's a bit of a bidding war going on for this one by the sounds of it.
There was, because one of the things I actually noted down next to that is that way back when, that's actually how Netflix got House of Cards, is they actually promised them 2 seasons. That was like
Yeah.
that was the extra like cherry on top. It was like, hey, we'll guarantee
It's
2 seasons.
it's a classic go-to in the bidding wars between two platforms.
Especially like Netflix was at the time, a new platform that's trying to like get their teeth into a few things to get started.
Oh, do go on.
Apple.
Oh, okay.
So obviously they've announced 1 or 2 things in the last couple of weeks, and here we have another big item which people were going for. Obviously you've got Jennifer Aniston, Reese Witherspoon, so you've got big names involved. And yeah, so they actually ordered 2 things straight to series. In fact, one of the other things they ordered straight to series along with this was one that we already talked about, and that was Amazing Stories, the anthology show from Steven Spielberg and Brian Fuller. So that has also been ordered straight to series, presumably just for 1 season though, because they didn't mention 2 for that. So I'll assume that's 1 season.
Yeah, I would assume so.
No idea how long that is per season, but this morning show is going to be 10 episodes per season. So there were 2 10-episode seasons of that.
Apple, they're making a serious push here by the sounds of it.
It does. It really sounds like they're going to. It sounds like they want to have at least like a half a dozen original shows that are coming in the first year of their service.
Yeah, and then they're going for names, some in front of the camera and some behind.
I really hope that this is something they have an app for that you can just watch on, on your consoles, on your stuff.
It should be on iTunes at the very least. You can watch it on your PC.
That's bullshit though. Like, imagine,
It is.
like, how many customers are they like getting off on themselves by doing that? I mean, that's why iTunes works on a PC, because it doesn't necessarily have to. They didn't need to put iTunes out on a PC, but they do, because they want people who don't have Macs and stuff to buy their music.
iPods. Yeah, no, this was that was down to the iPods, where it's like, well, because you have to sync through iTunes to get your stuff on those.
Yeah, but similarly though, if people can't watch it on their TV, they won't buy it.
No, it's true.
So if they're actually saying no, if to watch this on your TV, you have to buy Apple TV. Like, that's a hard sell for a lot of people.
It is, and
while these are big things in the sense that they've got good names behind them, this isn't we've got a Star Wars show that people will go out and buy a device for.
no, it's not.
It's not that big. So I really hope this is a case of...
the only way I think they can get through it is if they do like a budget, because Apple TV, you get it's the box that you kind of plug in, right?
Yeah.
If they do like a budget version, how Amazon have like their Fire Sticks.
Well, sure, but you can still get Amazon on every device.
You can. What I mean is the only way I can see them doing it is if they offer like a really budget version and go, right, this is all you need, and then maybe people will be interested. Maybe.
Yeah, I think quite rightly though, people will look at that and go, why do I have to buy something when I can get every other thing, every other streaming service in existence has an app on everything else that you could possibly use?
I agree, but then people still forked over stupid amounts of money for an iPhone X this last week, so what the shit do I know?
So I really hope that's not the case. I don't want to say that I'll take a stand and we won't cover any of their stuff, because I really want to watch Amazing Stories, but...
I'm inclined to be tempted by it, though.
Yeah, be tempted to say, no, we're just going to make a stand and say no Apple until they...
No, yeah, like, if they're not going to... Because if I have to sit here and watch on my PC, I'm not getting the best experience.
No, I've got surround sound and stuff with a bigger TV in the main room.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch it on my computer.
No, exactly. I shouldn't have to.
That's bullshit. There's no reason why I should. I have like multiple things that I could theoretically, I have like 3 things in the other room that I can have Netflix and Amazon on. There's no reason whatsoever that I should not be able to get access to their service, whatever it may be.
I agree.
So that is a concern with Apple, because they're dicks when it comes to these things. They love their proprietary bullshit.
Yeah, they like to be all in their own system, don't they?
But that will potentially, and like I say, I'm not saying we're going to boycott it. I mean, if stuff looks good enough, sure, but That's it. We got Netflix, Amazon, and other streaming services starting up. We got Disney coming. We got DC doing
Maybe this
theirs.
is an excuse to go. No, you're too busy. We're too busy.
Yeah.
We're not going to cover you. Screw you, Apple.
We don't need another one, so it's fine. Yeah. I can't believe we're on the fourth chunk because we split it up in half hours, give or take, because the recording software doesn't like long recording, so we always just split it up at the half hour mark, give or take. It doesn't have to be exact. And we're on the fourth one, which means we're over 90 minutes.
Yeah,
So,
I remember at the start we said this could be a nice short one.
well, we did have less news. That was a true statement.
I feel like we do this a lot though. When we know there's less news, we just chat bollocks around it because we think, we can.
Anyway, so the next show that we're going to talk about, so we had IDW Entertainment, we had a new Apple service, it's technically two because we had Amazing Stories greenlit as well. So we're into a bit more normal places now. I think this is Netflix we're on now for this show.
That's it. Netflix has become the normal.
Yeah, so they've got a straight to series order for a 10-episode show called The Good Cop. And this is a little bit different from them. This doesn't sound like their typical thing. It doesn't even necessarily mean it won't be good, because I mean, this is the sort of thing. If I heard it was on a network, I'd immediately write it off. But from them, maybe it will have something to it. Maybe the quality will be high. That said, it does sound like something that could be on Fox.
I mean, based on the title, I'd have said, all right, Fox or CBS.
Yeah. So I mean, they've cast Josh Groban, who's a singer-songwriter. This is his first lead role, apparently. And he's going to be starting with Tony Danza, who you may know, he was in a lot of stuff when he was younger in the 70s and stuff. But it's a father-son dramedy, is what it is. The Good Cop centers on Tony Sr., played by Danza, and presumably the other guy, Tony Jr. He's a disgraced former NYPD officer who never followed the rules. He lives with his son, Tony Jr., an earnest, obsessively honest NYPD detective who makes the point of always following the rules. This odd couple become unofficial partners as Tony Sr. offers his overly cautious son blunt, streetwise advice on everything from handling suspects to handling women. So, they're like partners, but they're father and son. So, Fox are pissed they didn't get a hold of this one.
Yeah. It's interesting because it sounds like a procedural. So, but I assume the Netflix angle will be it's really about the father and son relationship. Like that'll be what's really hammered home.
I do like that it says dramedy. It implies there'll be some humour to it. It's not going to be like a dead serious cop thing.
Yeah, I agree.
So, admittedly, as far as like interest goes in Netflix shows that have been announced, this is like really close to the bottom for me.
So it's on the low end for sure.
However, like I'm still willing to try it. It still doesn't sound like off-putting necessarily.
No, it doesn't.
But there you go. So that's The Good Cop. Straight to series order. That'll be a thing. Does it mention? Yes, 10 episodes.
Yeah, you said that already.
Did I say that already? Okay, fair enough. I'd forgotten I said that. 10 seems to be the normal amount for Netflix now. 10 or 8 seems to be their thing, which is good. I like that. 8 and 10 seem to be really nice, tight, consistent seasons. The ones that are still in 13, which are the earlier stuff, or the stuff that's connected to earlier stuff, like the Marvel stuff, is the stuff that suffers from the extra episodes. Lingers a bit round, a bit too long. Anyway, next up, we have another collaboration from Ink Factory, BBC, and AMC. They, of course, did The Night Manager, which we never covered when it was on, but it was very popular at the time. It was kind of one we kind of passed us by.
Yeah.
I wasn't even sure to include this necessarily, but I saw a name attached to it, and I went, "Oh no, we are talking about this. We are talking about this." Because they're going to do another adaptation from the same person who wrote the original novel, The Night Manager, was based on John Lee Carr. But the director of this new series, which is going to be, does it mention how many episodes? Six parts, 6 episodes. Park Chan-wook. The director of Old Boy and the entire Vengeance trilogy, along with, he did Thirst, he did I'm a Cyborg, but that's okay. He also did, what was that, Stoker. That was his first English-speaking movie, which I liked a lot. Not as good as Old Boy and Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. Those are his 2 tops, but I'd put Stoker at number 3. Regardless, the point is, I love this guy.
Yeah, I've only seen those last 2, but
okay.
Yeah.
No, great stuff. I love him as a director. So he's going to be directing this, which is a really weird but brilliant get. Like, I would never expected he was up for.
Basically, we're watching this. Doesn't matter what the premise is. Doesn't matter what you tell me about this. We're watching it.
Sure, yeah. So it's based on the book, as I said, set in the 1970s. A young, brilliant actress prepares for her ultimate role in the theatre of the real, and against the backdrop of rising tensions in the Middle East. The series promises high-stakes international intrigue, love and betrayal. The book was published in 1983. So
Sounds like a John le Carre novel to me. I mean, in a good way. If you're into those sorts of things, then
sure.
you know they're pretty good.
I'm not particularly fussed about the plot, but the name Park Chan-wook, if he's allowed to be Park Chan-wook, has me excited about this. But that is the entire basis for my excitement, is that name.
Where did you say this was going? Is this Netflix again?
No. This is a co-production between BBC and AMC.
Oh right, okay. Okay, I can see him having some leeway.
I don't know. It depends. I can see him being sucked into their styles. That said, I never saw The Night Manager, so I don't really know.
I've seen like 20 minutes at some point when it was on the TV.
Was the 20 minutes good?
It was very good.
Okay, right. Well, hopefully.
And since then, it's been on my list to get back and watch. I just haven't got around to it.
Well, hopefully we get something good out of this. But Park Chan-wook, thumbs up for that pick. So next up, TNT is developing a series based on the life of trainer and boxer Anne Wolfe, who also happened to have a small role in Wonder Woman. She was one of the Amazons. Presumably cast because she was, big and bulky and looked intimidating because she's a boxer. So the series is called Beast Mode. Okay, I like that as a title, actually. It tells the story of a feisty, damaged woman with a kill-or-be-killed mentality. While this quality makes her an excellent trainer, it tends to cause problems in the rest of her life. So yeah, so
that sounds dangerously close to a personal and private.
Do you know? No, I'm going to give them this one because the entire point is that her attitude like that is what causes the problems. So I think it's baked into the whole reason.
That's fair.
Why would you make a show about this person? It's because that's what she was like. That's what made her interesting. So, along with the accomplishments, she won a lot of, she had a good boxing record. She won championships and stuff. She had a good career. But why is she interesting as a person? So that makes sense. I'll give them that one.
Yeah.
I'm not inherently interested in this, but there's nothing wrong with the idea.
No, I agree. It doesn't grab me, but it could be all right.
It's exactly the sort of thing where the talent and the writing's there. It could be.
I think a lot of it depends on the acting to carry off a lot of these things. When it's something like this, you got to have a really strong lead actor to pull it off.
Yeah. So we'll have to see how that one shapes up. So we're on to the networks now. We're off the cables and the other sort of unknown entities. CW have put in development. I said that really weird. They've put in development Prohibited, which is an hour-long drama produced by Ian Somerhalder and Nikki Reed. Their company, Rare Birds Productions. Prohibited is described as an upstairs-downstairs southern soap where high-spirited former thief Amelia Jones attempts a fresh start in a male-dominated bourbon country. Her new life, however, is upended when her two sisters show up demanding Amelia's help in orchestrating the most dangerous heist of their lives. See, this is where it goes against the soapy idea, because I was like, it sounds like a soap. She's in this new situation and she's working with these people.
Yeah, but my interest turned around a little bit when you said she was a thief. I'll be honest.
Yeah. So our two sisters show up demanding Amelia's help in orchestrating the most dangerous heist of their lives, robbing the money from from the Kentucky Derby. I was going to say one of the Kentucky Derbies. The Kentucky Derby. Amelia now finds herself torn between the thrill of her dangerous past and her newfound ambition of becoming a bourbon queen.
I kind of hate this and love it at the same time.
Yeah, I'm not really interested, but I'll give them points for the heist part of it. It sounds kind of.
I'd say like all the soapy stuff and do without, but I like the heist stuff.
By the way, I'm really trying to watch how much I say as I'm reading the descriptions, because sometimes I'll pause and then I'll say before I read the rest of the sentence, and I'm trying to at least just I'll pause, sure, but not say
and it's causing you to trip up on a few words, though, isn't it?
I do it too often. I've noticed that when I'm preparing it to upload, and it's really bugging me now. So I'm going to stop it. And admittedly, it would have helped if I'd remembered I wanted to do that at the start of the show, as opposed to at this point. But hey,
yeah. We're only an hour 45 in.
now that I've mentioned it, though, you can remind me at the start of next week's.
You think I'm gonna remember?
Aye. Well, you can make fun of me when I do it if you notice that I'm doing it.
See, I had never noticed, but now I'm going to, you prick.
Next up, NBC has put in development Reunited, a drama inspired by an investigative genealogist, Pamela Slayton. It's inspired...
There's one.
Damn it. It's got a new sentence. Reunited is inspired by Slayton, the country's foremost investigative genealogist. We basically just said that in the last sentence. That's just repetitious. Who uses her wits, detective skills, and take no prisoners attitude to track down long-lost loved ones and reunite broken families. So it's a detective show, but with a kind of a twist.
Yeah. Is this the new thing that Fox are going to chase?
This is NBC.
Yeah, I know, but are they going to do it like that? It's like, instead of just doing cop shows with a twist, we'll make it detective, but like a bigger twist is like what they're detecting rather than just, cop detective.
Sure. NBC is also put in development Relative Justice. I like that title. I feel this probably isn't as interesting as it sounds, but I like the idea that you could have like a really stupid show about people like, I don't know, like someone who goes around and like rates people tickets up or like gives them into trouble for like stupid little things that people do. Like I'm thinking like Seinfeld levels of like double dipping in the dip at a party.
Like saying between every sentence.
There you go. Hence the title, Relative Justice. It's a relative appropriate amount of justice for the stupid little thing you did wrong.
Yeah, no, that's nice.
Of course, that's not what it's going to be, but
no, of course not.
Here we go. So, written by former prosecutor turned writer Barbara Curry. I feel like she should have went into the fast food business.
Yes, there should be a restaurateur.
Yes, kind of like how Stephen Fry should have a chip shop. So,
absolutely, he probably does.
Relative Justice is a legal procedural that touches on the theme of sexual harassment. Oh, this is very relevant. This is scary how relevant this is. Touches on the theme of sexual harassment that has dominated the conversation in Hollywood at the moment. Relative Justice centers on Hannah Hayes, that sounds like a superhero Secret Identity, an ambitious young legal analyst for a TV news show who has it all until she is fired after rebuffing the advances of a popular news anchor. See, I'm thinking too much but not saying that I'm buggering up in other ways. She rebuffs the advances of a popular news anchor and finds herself learning the ropes of practicing law at her mother's unconventional law firm. Given this new opportunity to work together, Hannah and her mother, Evelyn, find themselves exploring the joys and complexities of their mother-daughter relationship both at home and in the courtroom. That last bit's definitely personal and professional lives.
It is, isn't it?
It's rephrased, but that's what it is, at home and in the courtroom. Do you know what I love about this? I love the fact that she's fired because she had a sexual harassment allegation that they didn't like about her. I like that it feels like that's shoved into this description. And I also like the idea that NBC had this line around. They had the script, they had the pitch line around, and they'd kind of like, it's okay, we kind of passed on it. And then all of this has happened in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and goes, no, it's relevant, get us that script back.
Get it on the phone, I'll put them in there now.
We can have this on air by next season, this is super relevant.
Yeah, I can see this being fast-tracked.
Yeah, I feel like in the last couple of weeks this was fast-tracked because of how relevant it is.
I think it was maybe not a no, but it was in the maybes pile.
Yeah, especially because the reason I say it feels shoved in, just in the sense that
that's just the setup, isn't it?
Yeah, you could actually just rephrase that whole thing to she's fired from her job and then goes to work with her mother. You could have just started it that way, but they made a point of highlighting that that's the reason why. Hell, it wouldn't surprise me if that wasn't
added that in or after. I was just going to say that
if that wasn't even in the original script. They said, "Oh, how about we do this show?" But it's because she's sexually harassed.
The question is then, though, is that just a gimmick for the first episode to get people talking? We're talking about in the news because of that.
Oh no, I bet
that's the discussion, or is it going to permeate the whole show?
That'll be all the cases. All the cases.
They're going to take sexual harassment cases.
Yeah. Did an M? It was kind of like an A. It's not quite the same. It's the same thing though. But
you did another one then.
But I worry that this is because it's Hollywood specifically. That's the stage for this.
Yeah.
Is this a little too close to home for them to tackle? I don't know. I'm not saying I have the answer to that question. I'm saying, is it?
Yeah, it's one of those where someone's got to tackle it in Hollywood because we are gonna get a film about all of this at some point. It's going to happen.
Sure.
So it's gonna get done either way. So
the Weinstein story.
See, it's not it's bigger than that now.
No, I'm just thinking because I'm just trying to think of because it's the company's
No,
called the
no, they're
Weinstein
just going to call
Company.
it Spotlight too.
Spotlight 2, Sexy Electric Boogaloo.
Exactly. We got the brand recognition already. It's like, okay, let's just do
I
this.
can almost hear the cheesy trailer playing in my head. First, it was in our churches. Now, it's in our movie studios. To be fair, it feels like it should escalate the other way around.
It probably should, but
But unfortunately, we revealed the priest first, so we had to do that movie first. So
yeah,
now we're on to
this
the...
is just we're subject to history. What do you want us to do?
Joking aside, I mean, obviously, it's a legal procedural. I have no interest in it because of what it is. Damn it. Well, to be fair, that was me thinking of something, but whatever. I'm going to stop pointing them out now.
I'm not.
Fine. That's good though, that'll force me. Like, I'll get so annoyed at you pointing them out that it'll force me to actually do it. So maybe you can break these stupid little habits. But yeah, it sounds fine as an idea. Whatever, sure.
Yeah, like I
It's
said,
good.
no interest in watching it really. Maybe I'll watch one just to
To be fair
see how
though,
it tackles
the
the
tactic
subject.
worked. Had that not been shoehorned into the start of that, we would have talked about this for about 10 seconds and said, oh, it's a legal procedural, let's move on. But they got us talking for a few minutes
And
because...
I think, we never would have even bothered touching it. We never even would have considered touching it. But now I'm considering, do I want to watch this to see how it tackles the subject?
Yeah, maybe. I can see what you're saying.
I mean, I guess it also depends on how many others of the same idea kind of get rushed out now.
Nah,
Because
no, they won't make this season. This one's made this season because they had it sitting ready. Everyone else will be doing this next season. This will be the theme.
Is this next season's theme? We've
Yeah.
calling it already.
Yeah, we had obviously this year it's all immigration and conservatives and stuff like that, and
Right, so next season we're calling it. It's sexual harassment.
that's one of the 2 or 3 that we'll have next season.
Yeah,
Yep, absolutely. I'm calling it now.
yeah. It's on the record.
Dear, I'm hitting headphones off. I hit my headphones off, then I hit the desk with my other hand. It's all going wrong.
This is a shambles. This was supposed to be over and done in an hour.
Oh dear. That was intentional. That one.
Have we got any more news?
Oh, we do. Yeah.
Can we move on?
NBC still. Vin Diesel is producing with Virgil Williams through their company a boxing drama at the network. Titled Crushers Club, the series would take place in a struggling boxing gym which serves as a second home for kids in one of Chicago's toughest neighborhoods. It gains an unlikely ally in Sonia, a single mother from the suburbs who's found a new purpose in her life.
I have no interest.
I mean, I have no interest because there's not a lot to go on, but at the same time, I actually think that's a good setting for a show.
Yeah, it's. I mean, at the minute, I have no interest. I should say, but
Like, this could easily be a Rocky spin-off about Rocky trying to help, like, troubled kids in the neighborhood. Like, it could easily be that.
yeah, that still would interest me. But whatever.
Well, whatever. But, like, that sounds fine. There's potential there. There's nothing really to go for against it, but the plot sounds like a fine idea to base a show around.
It does. Yeah.
Sometimes the simplest plots are the best. Also, NBC, they seem to be the ones with the most activity this week. They've got another show in development. It's called Love After Love. It's a drama. It's coming from Aaron Kaplan's Capital Entertainment. Love After Love is based on a Argentinian show called ADA, which is an acronym, ADDA, for Amar Después de Amar. I actually think
Translation.
I think I nailed that.
I mean, you
don't-
said you said Argentinian wrong, but sure, you got that bit right.
What did I say?
I don't know, like Argent. I can't remember because it was wrong. That was the point, but it wasn't Argentinian.
I maybe said Argentinian. Was it that?
I don't know. So someone can go back and check. Rewind 15 seconds.
What? Because I knew I was going to have to pronounce this in a second. I was overthinking
yeah.
things. It's from Argentina. Well, I assume it's just Love After Love because you can see the words repeat. Amar, Después de Amar. So
Yeah.
I assume it's just Love After Love.
Makes sense. Amor is love in French, I think.
So it's close-ish.
Close-ish.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
An experimental affair is exposed in a car crash that leaves a man in a coma and the woman missing, soon to be found dead of a gunshot wound. As their spouses try to piece their lives back together, the police struggle to solve their ever-deepening mystery.
Sounds reasonably interesting.
Yeah, it actually reminds me of something from American Gods, actually.
Oh yeah, okay,
Because
yeah,
they're having an affair and then they're in a car crash, and that's kind of how people find out.
yeah,
That's a thing. I can see it.
yeah. I get it.
All right. I'm not particularly excited either. Like, I
It
don't.
sounds like it could be a perfectly good show.
Yeah, but it could also really sappy and soapy,
Yeah, it could
depending.
be really generic.
That takes us on to our final bit of news for the week. You'll be happy to know. Fox is developing a drama inspired by the choreographer and creative director Laurianne Gibson. Mary J. Blige is producing, or executive producing, I should say. The project has received a script order with a significant penalty attached. Were you shaking your head because I said eh?
Yes.
So you're just putting me off now. It's called 8 Count. The potential series is described as a music-fueled drama that follows a young choreographer who, in order to redeem her damaged reputation in the cutthroat music dance world, must invest in an up-and-coming singer who also has one last shot at stardom. This has kind of ended up being like the fourth theme of the season somehow. We have like 3 or 4 dance choreographer slash music shows in production or in
Yeah,
development.
I remember the first time going like, "What's this? I've never heard of anything like it." And now I'm like, "Oh, it's another one."
We've got 4 or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but we've had a few of them at least.
Yeah, this definitely isn't the first. Is the point?
This is at least the third in this kind of roughly idea, maybe the fourth. So
Yeah.
I don't know why this is a thing right now. Why they're all trying this? It's almost like one of them started it and they heard the like rumors. Oh, they're developing a music choreography dance show. Let's do one as well.
One of them's bound to be fun, right?
Hey, I quite enjoy Sister Act 2, so I mean, why not enjoy this? Hell, I even mildly enjoy the Pitch Perfect movies.
I love the pitch. I'm very much excited for Pitch Perfect 3. It's my second most anticipated movie of the rest of the year.
I wouldn't go that far. I'll catch it at home video.
Oh, I'm there day one.
Sure, I'm not that excited about it. And yeah, what have I got left movie wise for the rest of the year? I got Star Wars. I got Disaster Artist. Looking forward to that.
Okay.
Which, relevant to that, actually, me and Tim just recorded our audio commentary for the month for Patreon. It's The Room. It's not up yet. It'll be up sometime next week, but you can look forward to that if you happen to be a patron. That is. But relevant. I wasn't meaning to plug that, but since we mentioned The Room,
Since we came up, yeah.
yeah, since it came up,
Honestly, I feel like there's not much left at this end of the year that I normally feel like is quite busy.
oh, and Justice League. That's it.
Yeah, but I don't care about Justice League anymore.
You're still seeing it though.
So, yeah, but I have obligation.
Hey, I'm not making you.
I'm gonna be there day one because it's Justice League and I have to, but I don't care about it.
The early buzz is okay.
Yeah, it was for BVS as well.
True, yeah, but this is specifically the critics that are giving this buzz, and they're being very balanced about it. They're not gushing over it. They're not saying, "Oh, it's great." They're actually saying, "Oh, it has these problems, it has this problem, but these things work."
I'm still expecting to hate it because at least if I go in expecting to hate it, I might surprise myself.
You can only go, yeah, you can only go up from there. Sure,
Exactly.
I get you. That's the news, by the way, though.
As some of that was news.
Some of it was news. We were just talking about what was left movie-wise for the rest of the year. Obviously, there's other things as well that I won't see coming because they
Yeah.
typically
Yeah.
the stuff that's nominated for Oscars tends to show up out of nowhere for most people, and I'm kind of including that.
And do you know what? We really need more people to sign up to Patreon just so that we can move this over to a movie discussion show. Because then we don't have to squeeze all of this into the TV news.
Yeah, that is very true. We're close to that goal of having a movie news show as well.
So you don't have to hear us talk about this.
That logic's sound.
That
Logic's as sound as possible. So, actually, just think of some of the movie bits in this as a taste, as a free sample of what.
No, just enough so that we know what we're talking about.
That said, I mean, it would still be free. You don't have to pay for the movie show, but it gets unlocked for everyone once we hit that goal.
Yes.
Which I guess is a good.
Much appreciated.
It's a good time to plug patreon.com/MailFuzzTV then, since we've just mentioned a couple of things that are either on it or will be.
We've been really dickish with the plugs this week compared to normal.
Apparently we have, we really have. But that is us, news-wise, so that leaves us to pick our favourite episode of TV of the week. So, Connor, why is it Mr. Robot?
Because it did a fantastic one-shot style episode that was thrilling to watch.
I concur.
This week, some weeks I go, it kind of wins by default. This week it deserved it. It did something different, and it proved why. It's got fantastic direction.
There you go. It wins by default anyway. But yeah.
Yeah, it would have done anyway. But hey.
So now, Mr. Robot is very
argument for last few episodes of Stranger Things, which because we did 6 onwards or 7 onwards since the news last week.
Yeah, 7, 8, 9 would have been since the last news.
And maybe 8 or 9 has a fair shot.
In fact, you know what? I'm going to be ballsy here, and I'm going to say no. Stranger Things wins for me this week.
You only get to do it once a year.
Exactly. It's getting its shot. I'm not even going to specify which episode. It just wins. Stranger Things wins.
See, I would, but episode 7's in that week, so Mr. Robot still.
Episode 7's fine, and 8 and 9 may be 2 of the best episodes the show's ever done. So, season 2 of Stranger Things gets my vote this week. I love Mr. Robot. I loved it to bits. I loved it dearly.
I think if this had been against last week's episode of Mr. Robot, I'd have agreed.
Sure.
If it had been against episode 3, definitely. But this episode of Mr. Robot, where it did something different, and it proved why, it's got a real vision in the direction as well.
I have 5 more. I have 5 more weeks of Mr. Robot. I can give that the crown 5 more times, and I probably will give it the crown 5 more times unless something surprises me. So, Stranger Things.
I'll allow it.
With that, we are wrapping up the shambles of a news program. Let us know what you think of any of the news in the comments below.
Just tell us that we went on far too long.
Thoughts on any of the things we talked about, of course. Any ideas, anything at all you want to talk to us about, just do it down in the comments. Clearly, we've been doing this too long. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore.
I don't know what you're saying anymore.
But we are part of Mail Fuzz TV, and this has been almost cancelled. The link to the Patreon that we mentioned in the description. It'll be in the corner of the video as well, as always there. Anything you'd like to plug from this week, video-wise, that is, they can go check out.
I'm just looking what we did this week. What's there?
I mean, I suppose the Stranger Things videos are the obvious thing to plug, especially since they were nice and meaty. Especially that last one was a full hour. Like, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, no. I'm going to say check out last week's Television from the Multiverse. I know, obviously, by this point you've watched the following week's episodes. Most of you who are listening to this.
I mean, I've watched all of them, but Arrow.
Well, yeah, and I need to drunk Arrow at some point. Well, that's gonna be fun. But the
internet was out half the night.
Still gonna drunk Arrow at some point.
Dear. Yeah, so obviously that's coming late Sunday as our Television from the Multiverse, which is where we do all the DC shows. Maybe some interesting discussion on this week's episodes.
I've not seen any of them yet, so that's interesting. But I think last week's was fun. We had a lot of fun at Arrow's expense. So,
do you want to know what the premise for this week's Legends is, just to get you excited?
Oh, go on. I'm excited already, but go on.
They're at the turn of the century in London, and they're hunting a vampire.
God, I love this show.
It's such a cartoon. It just does whatever it wants now. And by the way, Mick has always wanted to kill a vampire, and he is fantastic in this episode. So you can look forward to that. So full thoughts on all those shows and Television from the Multiverse at the end of the week. But otherwise, that is us. So let us know what you think in the comments, like I said. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. But otherwise, that is us. We've done all the plugging that we can do. We've done everything else. It's time to wrap up. This might have hit 2 hours. It may be just a minute or two under, depending. But I think we've hit 2 hours.
I think we have, yeah.
So apologies. But then again, maybe you like a long episode. Maybe you like when we ramble and do stupid things. I don't know. That has been us. Thank you once again for watching, guys. Keep watching TV. We'll see you next time. Have you got any vanilla?